Hello, hello, a very good afternoon, good evening, good morning to you. Welcome to another live stream with me, 320 Sim Pilot. Today we are taking the JustFlight BAe146 Professional for a flight from Montpellier up to Gatwick. It's Sector 2 of our time with Dan Air Virtual, of a new virtual airline set up by a couple of our moderators and other enthusiastic community members who've been working very hard at it. And yeah, it's a perfect excuse to take this brand new airplane. Obviously, those of you who haven't seen it, I'm sure you've all heard the news, but this was released just a couple of days ago. So here it is now, available for us to fly. It's available at justflight.com. This is the BAe146-100. We have streamed with it before, and in fact in this exact livery, but of course that was before Dan Air Virtual, and I had to fly it again. I'm hoping to get hold of a 300 livery, because it'd be nice to fly the long one. But yeah, still no problem at all taking out the 100 for another spin. Lovely add-on, very happy with it. I think it's just lovely. It's so nice to fly. But we're going to talk about that as we go through the stream today. So thank you all for joining us. It's going to be about a 1.5 hour flight as we head up. Going to climb up to 36,000 feet. Should be quite nice views. We'll have time to chat about the aircraft and answer some questions, hopefully, if I can manage to answer any. And hopefully it'll give you an idea of whether this is something you're interested in or not. But still, it's likely to feature regularly on the channel in the future. It's really very nice. And it's just so nice to hand fly as well. It's unusually good for a Microsoft Flight Simulator add-on in general. Any size, shape or weight of airplane, this one just feels nicer to fly. Similar to the JustFlight Hawk, they really seem to have a knack for the hand flying side of things, the handling of the aircraft, which is very nice. So as you can see here, this is loaded up, cold and dark on the gate. We're going to power it on shortly. Have a bit of bloom off the windows. There we go. It's a rather murky day here. It's live weather at Montpellier, but it's a bit gloomy, bit of mist perhaps rolling in. I have, however, of course, as usual, reversed the time a little bit. So jumping into the chats, of course, as ever, I'm no doubt behind, but thanks for coming along. Good to see you, Tom Corwine. I hope you're all doing well. Elitis Maggie, Dave, Bottom, Ed Haslam, good to see you, and Chickpoint as well, of course. Pavel, George Lumpkin, good day to you. George is in a hotel room waiting for the test result. Hopefully that goes well and you get to go to Orlando. Indeed, George. Yeah, that'll be great fun. So enjoy that. Thanks for joining us today. J-Bay, good to have you here. Kuba as well. Gareth, Peter, Noor. It's great to see you all here. So I'm just checking. Missed anything? Good. Yeah, loads and loads of you, so I can only apologise. But yeah, great to see Miku, Astroju. I hope you're doing well. Astroju says, absolutely love this plane. I'm going to fly Microsoft Flight Simulator a lot more now. As I say to friends, the 146 is my bae. There you go. Pilot Catcher, good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Andy, Bryant, Chris, and Tony. Tony says, I love the 146, but it's tricky to learn. Well, hopefully we can help today as we go through it. It's different at first. It settles in quite easily. It's quite easy to remember, especially if you've flown the Airbus. It's just one thing you need to set up to get the automatics to work your way. Other than that, it's quite simple, but I know how frustrating that is. Tell me about it. I spent the whole of yesterday wrestling with the MD-80, so I can feel the pain of trying to learn and set up new controls. I mean, talking with Mateo about that, it was yeah, a challenging time yesterday in the world of flight sim for me. But there we go. It's yeah. I've got a video out on this on the channel if you'd like to see with the release version, as well as obviously the preview videos that we made before. Now, over on Twitch as well, we're streaming on both YouTube and Twitch. It's good to see you. Checkpoint over there. Lush Edge, Conveyance Games, I hope you're doing well. It's great to have you join us. And Captain Wazza can't stay long, but thanks for coming along, and we'll see you next time, Captain Wazza. Lauren V, thanks for coming to moderate over there as well. Yeah, so we're going to run through the full setup, cold and dark. It's got built-in checklists, which is really nice, and then we're going to start up on stand here in Montpellier. This looks to me suspiciously like it would be a drive-off stand. I'm not sure what that red line is supposed to symbolise. These red cross-hatched areas are just where you can't park ground equipment, they're where you can park ground equipment in there, keep it out of the way, I think. Anyway, we'll manage. We'll do a hard left turn and get ourselves back out that way, as we're not bothering with the jetty today. We've got the air stairs deployed. We have a flight plan filed. I used Dan Air's flight planning system to send the flight plan through to VATSIM, which was great. So Dan Air Virtual makes life really easy using BAMSys and Pegasus. It's really nice. However, this is where, as ever, I'm going to, first of all, jump into the joint chat, and then I'm going to ask you all for help. Beryl says, geez, this Bumblebee can fly. Yeah, it can, and then some. It's lovely to fly, actually. So, Dougal, good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Great to have you here again. Yeah, so I am not going to use VOR to VOR today. We're going to use a normal flight plan. I've already flown this aircraft on the channel exclusively, in fact, using VOR to VOR, both in the X-Plane version and the Microsoft Flight Simulator version. I also streamed recently on Concorde using the INS, so I feel like we've done a lot of old school navigation recently. And obviously, you guys are going to want to know, a lot of people, when they go onto VATSIM, don't want to have the added challenge of VOR to VOR, although it is fun. But today we're going to use a normal route with Airways, using the FMC from working title that JustFlight included with this. And then you can see what you think of that. It's a nice way of having RNAV capabilities in this aeroplane, I think. But we've done plenty of VOR to VOR, so today we're gonna do it the more modern way, just for a change, really. Andy H1302, good to see you. And he says, I think I remember employing this pilot. Is he any good? We shall find out. I got in trouble. I got a penalty on my last flight. So, question for those of you. Jamlin says, I'm in the process of converting my X-Plane down Air 300 liveries for Microsoft Flight Simulator. Excellent, Jamlin. Thank you very much. Look forward to it. Pavel says, loved your MD82 video. The switch position in the cockpit feels close to random. Thank you, Pavel. Glad you enjoyed it. Yes, so video up on the channel now in the Leonardo MD82. We'll talk about that in the flight. So, this is where I need your help. My VAMSys is not connecting to Microsoft Flight Simulator. So at this point, when I click Start Flight, it doesn't work. What have I missed? It just comes up with a warning saying, can't connect to the simulator. Is there something I need to be running externally? Does the airplane need to be powered on? I feel terrible having to ask this, and I do apologise. It worked perfectly in X-Plane, and I totally forgot. It needs to be running Pegasus as an admin. Yes, we've done all that. So does anyone have any help with that? Run as an admin. Let's see if this works. Yeah, it's pretty embarrassing. I thought it worked in my head. FSUIPC. Let's check I've got that up and running. I thought I did. I thought I already had that running. So stand by, everyone, as I potentially crash the whole simulator. But I'd rather do this now. I really would like this to work on the virtual airline, because that was good fun. So sorry, but I often need you guys. By the way, I've upgraded my internet at home. Oh, there's someone landing. Excellent. We are already connected to VATSIM. It's a shame because SimConnect for the overlay you see works already. Yeah, so I have upgraded my internet. It's faster than last time. A lot of you will remember the difficulty we had during the Concorde stream. Thanks, Andy. Now I'm sure I was sure I had it installed, but I think it seems likely I'm about to discover that that was not the case. Has that finished? That's finished. Oh, thank goodness it has an installer. Okay, almost there, everyone. We're also going to do a few things differently today from when we last ran the 146. We are going to make sure to try and fly the takeoff profile appropriately. So JustFlight have provided some great information. They've also got tutorials on their channel for the 146. And they provided some background information from their real world 146 pilots about the takeoff profile, and in particular the TMS, the sort of version of auto thrust that it has. So, let's hope this works. So, it wants me to register it. Do I need to register it? That's going to delay things. Okay. Let's try again. Sadly, I can't see the icon for it. This is absolutely the worst start to a stream I've ever had, so I apologise a lot. I will abandon this if this doesn't work very soon. Don't worry about that. This is entirely my fault. I'm sure it's incredibly easy. if you were slightly more organised than me. There's a someone else joining us. Okay, no need to register. This isn't working. Can't find it anywhere. Don't even know where it's installed. Okay, found it. That's going on the desktop. Okay, it's running. Fingers crossed, everybody. Oh, there we go. Well done. Well done, you guys. Thank you so much. Right, stream starting 17 minutes late now, but we are now connected. So, all filed through down at Virtual. It's given us the loads and the numbers. Let's get ourselves underway. We'll look at the exterior model during the flight, if you guys would like to see that. So, jumping into the flight deck, we should have the air stairs up and running. Yes, I don't know where the landing has gone on that aircraft. I assume they're on VATSIM. In we go. Love the flight deck on this. What's better than having 4 engines? Okay, so good stuff. Thank you all again for your help with that. What we're going to do is load up the airplane first. So it's in cold and dark, which will just remove some of those things. We need to set the fuel and the passengers. So I have a total of 60. I think I had 61 passengers booked. We're expecting a zero fuel weight of around about 28.3 tons. It's closed up the doors, which is quite nice. As we got the noise of that jet over there, we'll reopen it when we need to board. So 61 passengers, zero fuel weight of 28.9. That's a bit too much. So what we're going to do is just remove a couple of passengers. They're obviously a little bit heavier than we had planned. And we're going to have to go out without their bags. Sorry, passengers. Okay, 28.3 is about what we expected. We needed a fuel of 6.3 tons, and that includes a ton extra fuel. So that's in the wing tanks and a bit in the center tank. That's good stuff. Let's connect the ground power units. We're in the cold and dark state. Great. First of all, I've got the OFP here. This was downloaded. Thank you for those follows and subscriptions. AP, thanks for the subscription. Here we have the route. So what we're going to do is, this is quite handy actually, they've included this, so you've got your weights, your block fuel, the cruise altitude, lots of things that I would normally have to look over at Simbury for or write down, so that's nice that they've included that there. We've also got the charts here. We're parked up obviously on the ground, and then the aircraft tab. So now those of you who've watched me stream the Aerosoft CRJ will remember how often we accidentally change this panel state, so I'm going to hope that if I leave it on a different one like OFP, it won't do that to us. Good. So let's get the airplane powered up now then. Checklists. Flight deck safety. And we'll start here. And we're going to go through it properly. A big fan of this. And it's nice to see it modelled fully in here. So landing gear lever, which is there, is down. Weather radar doesn't work. It's in op, so that is off. Transponder is on. Standby. Yes. Air brake and flaps. Air brake is in. Flaps are up. Nav lights high and int. Nav lights are hidden on this airplane. Way up on the overhead panel, upper overhead panel, which is a hard reach, control 8, but there we go. We want nav lights to int and high. Typical for an airplane that's powered on. Then batteries 1 and 2, we can turn on and we'll check the voltage. So battery 1, hopefully you can hear it. I'm going to keep the airplane noise quite high today. Battery 2, then we can check the voltage on here. 28 volts, 28 volts seems reasonable. Parking brake yellow and park. So there's 2 parking brake systems, just like the Airbus, we've got yellow and green. So there's yellow, there's green, it's set to the yellow, the main system. Master switches all on. Back on the overhead panel now. Sorry, the upper overhead panel. Yaw damper masters, autopilot masters, avionics masters. These aren't actual controls, as it were. The yaw damper on-off button is down on the center pedestal. Same for the autopilot, of course. Pixelated Pilot, thanks for your follow. And Mr. Clutch, thank you. I hope you enjoy it. Yes, good. So those are all on. I don't think there's any other masters I'm going to do right now. No, good. Anti-skid on. Anti-skid is here. Of course you want the anti-skid on. It's inoperative for now until some of the systems are powered up. Remember, we haven't got any electrical power at the moment. Lift spoilers, yellow and green, both on. That's hydraulic systems, AC and DC bus tie, both auto. So that's down. No, it's not that. That's the hydraulics here. AC and DC bus tie is. Must be on the lower overheads with the electrics. Here we go. AC and DC bus tie goes forward into the auto position. Standby inverter arm. That goes to arm. Standby generator arm. So these are the emergency equipment if you lose power on the others. Generators 1 and 4 need to be off reset, which is, they're called 1 and 4 because there's only 2, but there's one on engine 1, one on engine 4. Really great, it's good to see you. Thanks for joining us today. I hope you enjoy it. Yeah, APU generator on. So the APU gen can go into the on position. It's not running yet, but we're going to turn it on. Fuel pumps left inner comes on because that supplies fuel to the GPU. Engine fire handles all in. Those are up there. They're all in the in position. And then you can start the APU. Now, I don't know if they do that at this point when we could just establish ground power. So let's see. Let's turn it on. Clunk. There we go. So we've now got ground power. We'll turn on the APU a bit closer to time. But you're going to check the APU targets and then you can turn on the air. We're just going to open the doors. So that's electrical power established. Landing gear indicator, 3 greens. That's here in the center pedestal. Master warning system will be test. And norm. Overhead annunciators tested and norm. Now where is that? There we go. And you check all those bulbs are working. Rob, in terms of frames on this add-on, I don't notice any hits for it. I run, if you put exclamation mark specs, you'll get my specs, but I run everything ultra. I have it locked to 30 frames a second, and I do that because my recording software, my computer isn't able to stream otherwise if I have it at a higher frame. So I sadly, that means I'm not going to be very useful at telling you if it's better or worse than other aircraft. I don't have any particular trouble with it though, so I think it's pretty good. It is a bit heavier at times, especially changing views and so on, but it's not too bad. But I do run a quite powerful computer, so I don't want to promise too much. Overhead annunciators tested a norm. Cabin emergency lights arm. That's back on the upper overheads. No, it's not. Yeah, it is. All the way up here. Cabin emergency lights go to arm position. Very common. It's unusual to have separate emergency lights for the cabin and flight deck, though. I will say that. DC pump. So we're going to check the hydraulic system now over here. So we turn on the DC pump, and then we're looking for a pressure rise of the yellow system. So here we have the PSI. So the yellow system is rising. Once that's checked, that means the pump's working. We can turn it off. Then we're going to go to the AC pump and put that on. You can actually hear it. I don't know if you. How's the audio? Should I have it a bit louder? It'll be deafening when I go to outside views. There we go. AC pump a bit more powerful. Yellow system's fully powered now. We've got the full pressure. And then we're going to turn on the power transfer unit, just like the Airbus. And we're going to check that the power transfer unit provides pressure to the green system. That's working as well. So we'll tick that. And this is where I think JustFlight's really hit it out the park with this one. Is that you can sit in here and with this and the little eye, if I tick that, for the flight, oh sorry, not flight, let's check what we're just doing. It actually highlights the switch. It's genius. You can get going in this airplane without reading some of the documents. Now I recommend you do, because they have an excellent guide provided, including a tutorial flight. You don't need to read every systems, which they've also provided if you want to look into it. But anyway, so let's go to the next one. So AC pump on yellow and green, and it does. The only thing to watch out for is it hides a bit. So we've got to then turn it off. You see, which is missing if you shrink the checklist. So AC pumped off, PTU off. We're just checking they all work. We don't need them right now. Flight deck emergency lights down here into the arm position. Yaw dampers, they're on up there, but what we should also do is turn them on. There you go, yaw damper 1, yaw damper 2. Oxygen masks, 100% flow and checked, so that would be down here. There's a test, and then you get a little white cross. Again, that style of mask has been around for a long time, and pretty much what you have now. Oxygen main valve, if we highlight it, I'm hoping that works. Does it work? I'm not sure. I didn't realise we had a pilot. I thought I turned those off. Over here, we can turn on the main valve. And I'm going to... Should that stay on? I think I'm going to leave that on. Not sure if that's only required in the case of depressurization. But now we have oxygen for the masks for pilots and cabin crew and cabin. Next is the before start checklist. So we're going to set up the flight now, and then we can run this ready to go. This is where we power up the aircraft, make sure the APU is on, and so on. So I'll get rid of the checklist for now. Glad you're enjoying it, Ed. Yeah, it is fantastic. Brian says FPS is not bad, much better than Zebo or Flight Factor 320 or 75. There you go. Okay, so next step, let's get the airplane set up. First of all, let's just get the yoke centered. I'm going to pull that to get rid of the yoke because it's just going to be in the way from now on. So let's have a look at this FMC. Is there a dedicated view for it? Sort of here. Right, so this is the working title mod. Now, I'm not very good at the working title. I don't use it ever. I may have used it once. Let's give it a go. Index. So I'm imagining you can do all sorts of clever things. And he says, I need to fire that FO. He just sits there doing nothing exactly. But what I'm going to do, I'm just literally going to use this for lateral navigation, and that's it. So what we're going to do is go to flight plan. Lima, Foxtrot Mike Tango, Montpellier, and we are flying to Gatwick, Echo Golf Kilo Kilo, the home of Dano Virtual. We'll talk about Dano Virtual when we get underway, but Andy is one of the creators. It's brilliant, brilliant work. It's great fun. Alternate today, quite far away. But in the old days, you would have planned a better alternate. Oops, sorry. No, it doesn't work. There you go. This is quite. Either it's my incompetence with it, or it's not fully featured yet. You can see secondaries grayed out. Advisory VNAV anyway. Says Lauren B. Yeah, there you go. Good. Lauren says we're almost ready, and it's only been half an hour. Yeah. Well, we'll see about that. I'm sure I can make that a lot worse. So anyway, departures, arrival. Let's just check the charts. I'm going to use the iPad for the charts, I think. Why not? And the weather. I wonder if it shows us the weather anywhere. Stand by 1 second. Go to booking. It's nothing there. Let me go to advance this. So, light southerly wind is 1807 knots, and I don't think we have any air traffic control or anything like that. No, we don't. So we are on VATSIM. But yeah, so southerly wind, 21 degrees, QNH 1016. So that makes it easy. We're going to take off out over the sea. We've got to go via the point Ettrick. So, which runway is that from? There we go, it's pretty straightforward. 1-2 left. We want to take off from 1-2 left. Not going to take off on 1100 meters of runway, please. So, back on ourselves, Tango 5, take off from runway 1-2 left. I shouldn't zoom in like that, I should zoom in like that, and then you get the full quality. Nice that it shows you where the aircraft is. Is there a way to save it? That shows where the airplane is. I don't know. I haven't used this much, this little chart app. So that's going to put us on the runway 12 left. RNAV departure, which is what we can do. AirTrek 6 Echo or 6 Lima. There's a 1 and 2 note. 6 Echo, 6 Lima. Both end up at AirTrek. One goes via the Montpellier VOR. Let's use that just in case our FMS goes wrong. So that'll be the AirTrek 6 Lima. Down we go. Runway 12 left. AirTrek 6 Lima. Please work. I did try this out earlier to make sure it did lose something. Flying for Fun says, the 146 could take off in 1100 metre if it wasn't fully loaded. Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure it could if it used London City. The reason I'm not going to try it is because I'm sure I'll do something wrong on the takeoff and need more runway. So if I've got the option, I'm going to take it. Then we're going to go to legs. That's all good. So that's not what I need. I need flight plan. We're going to be the Dan 152. Again, a lot of this just doesn't matter because what we've also got to do is put that down in the brilliantly done but pretty old school transponder. So ATC ID, and then we're going to be this is a old school way of doing it that some of you or many of you probably don't remember, where you T9 it's called, where you have to type it several times, keep clicking until you get what you want. 1 5 2. So it's easy if you change keys each time. Doesn't work so well if you have to use the same key for, let's say you want to do M and then O. So luckily the AN was all separate, so that's worked out well. I can imagine it would be frustrating otherwise. So that's the flight ID. Enter. Great. So that is done on there. And we can also set that. So you really don't need this at all. This is just nice to have stuff. Next then, where is the AirTrack? So it goes to AirTrack. Good. So from AirTrack, let's take our route, which is going to be OFP. Upper mic 976 to Mopem. There's no standardization of this keyboard layout. Mopem. So it's never QWERTY. That's all I can say. The one that you actually used to. Captain Turner, thanks for your follow. Hope you're doing well. Ethan Master says, I like writing a text. There you go. And may the 4th be with you all. Indeed, Josh Rockshot. Thank you. Mopem. And then we're going direct to Avalon. Now I'm imagining there's a way to type this straight in, but I don't know. It's definitely not East 23, so it must be that one. Direct to Avalon, and then upper mic. Oh, that's hard to find. We were due out at past, so we've missed that. To Bravo Romeo Yankee. And that's what happens when I immediately think about the time and rush, which is why you have to constantly fight that urge in the real aircraft as well. We don't let ourselves get rushed. You'll have people demanding all sorts of you. We're not going to let it distract us. Which one is it? 48. It's not East 29. It'd be East 3. So it's the first one. I have to be sure because I'm not entirely au fait with this FMS, and therefore could quite easily select all the wrong things. Upper mic 733 to Pireg. So if you like flying old school, you don't have to do this. You could just get rid of the FMS as an option. It's entirely optional, and this aircraft is designed without it. This was something that was fitted later, but it's a very reasonable thing for them to include because, of course, this airplane did fly around with the RNAV age and would have needed this to be fitted eventually. QNAV, and then we're going to put in some sort of arrival later on. Thanks, Dutch, for the follow. Right, execute that. That's some sort of a route. To make sure it flies that, we have to put this to RNAV instead of NAV, and it goes into green RNAV, and there you go, and it will start to show us the distances to go and so on. It's quite good, quite handy, quite straightforward. That's pretty much all you need to do. Jeep says, not enough room for a QWERTY. Well, there is. They could have just... no, you're right. No, you are right. QWERTY's too wide, isn't it? That's typically what happens, I imagine. Let's put on the VHF radios, and what I will do is... Oh, yeah, we can check the auto brake. Sorry, the auto brake, the... brake temperatures. The maximum one is at 20 degrees, so probably ambient temperature out there is 20 degrees as a result. In fact, it was. Ah, yes, the A380 has a full QWERTY keyboard. I think it does. I think the keyboard on the A380 is actually on the table, I think. Right, so that's the routes, performance and so on. We're not going to do in here. This is literally just a basic sort of route finder for us that ends at QNAV. We're going to set up the arrival when we get a bit further through it. Good, so let's take a look back at our chart and make sure we have the right things set in here. So 6 Lima. Climber runway heading to 520, left turn 015, MT131, then to November Golf, and then via Ed Odu to MTL, then Etrek. So that is 520, then we go MT, then November Golf 354, and finally the Mike Tango Lima 11365. So I'm going to set those up. I'm usually too lazy, but today we're going to do it because we can't be 100% reliant on that FMS because I did it and I don't know how to use it. 2, 3, 4. Also, remember, the pilots who flew this would have almost certainly, I thought, been keen on radio nav aids if they were flying it before it had the FMS installed. I'm sure they would have been very attuned, because it isn't going to auto-tune anything, so we should really have something as a backup. The Airbus, remember, does auto-tune in the background for you. 11365. So we're going to turn on this, which is VHF. Just going to turn it on. Give it a second. 11365. We don't have a stop altitude on that I have found. We've got some minimum altitudes, 250 below 100, above 150 at Edodu. That's because the terrain does rise rapidly, so let's put in 15,000. It is possible in airports that aren't too restricted by others, so for example Montpellier, to get quite high cleared altitudes. So flight level 150 is in. I'm going to put the flight director bars on. I'm going to arm the altitude now, otherwise I will forget later. And we're going to take off. Now for takeoff, I don't think we're going to use that mode. We would set the pitch ourselves, but we're going to take off from runway 12, so let's set the heading bug to 12, which is southerly. Yeah, we are going to fly that ourselves. In fact, I've got the guidance on the takeoff for the engine settings, but I haven't actually set the correct pitch. What the pitch is in pitch and roll. I think that's fine. I don't think I'm not really going to use it for takeoff. Does anyone have any better ideas? Later, 146 did have VNAV, didn't they? He said, "Cheap. Wonder why JustFlight removed it from the working title FMS. Maybe they'll be right." Remember, VNAV is highly complex. It requires calculations based on the way the airplane accelerates and decelerates, the temperature, the ambient temperature, and all sorts. So there's a QNH set, by the way, 1016 set and all. So yeah, you couldn't just copy VNAV from airplane to airplane. It needs to. It does have advisory VNAV, as Lauren said. In the legs page, you can actually see the restrictions on the altitudes. But yeah, it's not that simple. Hence, it took so long for the A320 NEO one to work. Right, the course as well. Let's put in the course up to Montpellier of 019. Just as a backup. 0, 1. Oh, a bit too much. 19. Good. And we said 11365. We can tune that in here. Good. Okay. Let me just check. I do have the JustFlight manual here. What modes do they expect us to have for takeoff? I think it's just pitch and roll. I think you could just set the pitch you want. There's a way to adjust the pitch as you need to. There normally is on this sort of airplane. I think that's here. Yeah. I'm not going to bother too much because we're going to take off and we're going to pitch to 12 degrees. That's the number I know. Good. All right then. So as a brief, we'll start all the engines, of course, because I don't know what they would have done if they ever did reduce engine taxi. I doubt it. This is probably a little before that was the sort of time they needed to do that. Then we're going to taxi out to the runway full length with a left turn out of our taxiway. Take Mike, Tango 5, Tango 6, full length takeoff. We're then going to take off up to 12 degrees pitch, and we'll talk about the thrust and power settings, and make our left turn in nav after 540 feet for that first turn. It's quite an early left turn. If you press the toga button, it also sets the pitch bar. Excellent, thank you very much. So we have and let me just check. That's the toga button. That's where I'd expect it to be. It's funny, you know, you fly these around. I've flown it quite a lot, and yet there's some things I just obviously haven't done. Shows you that our knowledge is often only skin deep. I don't even know if that is probably being a bit too self-complimentary to assume that much. So departure briefing, relatively complete. Brake pressure, that is down here. We're on the yellow system, the primary brake system, 2,400. It's not actually got enough brake pressure. So I could, if I wanted to, I wonder if it's like the Airbus. Can I just top it up? Let's run the AC pump. There it goes. And now I can see the brake pressure rising. And now it's at 3,000. So that's enough brake pressure for engine start. Let's turn that back to off. Tick. Hydraulics are all off. Yes, so engine pumps are off, PTU is off, AC pump is off, DC pump is off. Fuel center transfer to auto. So we're coming down to the fuel panel now. So the second one says, I mean a controller button map to target in the sim. Right, okay. So let us turn on the fuel center transfer to auto. Center transfer auto. There's a bit of fuel in there, so we will use it. Ice detection should be on. So that's down here. Makes sense to have that on and guarded. Don't want to turn it off accidentally. Fasten seatbelt signs on. We have already armed those emergency lights. Good. Fuel quantity checked. So we wanted 8.2. We have 2.5, 2.5. So that's 5 tons. Sorry, not 8.2. We wanted 6.3. So 5, 6.3. That is all in. Thanks for the follow demo. Good. So fuel quantity is checked. Altimeters. We've got 1016 set. 3 times. Set. Good news. Master warning system ground operating switch reset. Red light extinguish, which it is because you can put it to have pull ground on, but we want it reset. Right, now to set the TMS N1 speed bugs. You check the bugs and then you actually turn it off again, I believe. So let's do that. Oh. So this is over here. We can't set the speeds until we've set the flaps for takeoff, but we can use a bit of a lower flap setting. I'm going to try flap 18 as we've got a long enough runway today. What we're going to do is power on the TMS thrust. Is it thrust modulating system? Oh, again, my head's spinning with all the different airplanes we've been using. So it powers on, and then we're going to use takeoff mode. It says 93%, but the TGT of 820. 820 is the maximum TGT we can use for takeoff, so that's good. But 93 is a little bit high on the N1. We want to lower it to 88.1. So to do that, I'm going to set a flex temperature. So if we go for 51 degrees, which is, probably one of the lower flex temperatures on the Airbus. The Airbus we can use up to flex 69, even flex 70 if you're below sea level. But there we go, a flex on the 319.79. So there we go, we've got 88.6. So that is a reasonable N1 for takeoff. We are quite heavy, but hopefully that's going to work for us. And it's set to take off. So if I power that off, with that left at 51, when we power it back on, that will work. Christian Bastard, thanks for the subscription. I hope you're doing well. I hope you enjoy it. So 840 TGT is for later, Pavel. That's for the climb. So yeah, we'll set that when we get into the climb. But great point. 11 Clark M, kindly super chatted. £4.49. Thanks so much. 11 Clark M says, hey 320, can't stay now, but we'll catch up later. You're my resource on how to fly this before I buy, so I'll be taking notes. Have a good one. Oh dear. Well, hopefully that works out for you. But thank you so much. Really, really appreciate it, 11 Clark M. Thanks for coming along. Thanks for the very kind donation. And we'll see you later. Very kind. Thank you. Good. So yes, it's we set it to take off. There he is. So that's just because it's hard set the TREF. So that's done. Speed bugs I can't set until we have the flap set properly. I'm just going to click on it for now, and then we'll do that again later. Doors and equipment closed, removed. So thanks Andy for the follow. We'll go to the aircrafts before we do anything. And remember, please do remind me not to leave it on that page. Very important I don't do that. Let's get the APU up and running before I lose everything. APU very simple on this aircraft. I press start, checking for its spinning. TGT goes up when the fuel goes in. Kevin, thanks for the follow. Hello. Thanks for joining us. No worries, Pavel. TGT dropping now, stabilized. If you didn't have this fuel pump on, you'd get a fuel low pressure warning, although it would run. I want it to get to about 100. And then I'm going to swap over to the APU. G-Flow, thanks for the subscription. Really appreciate it. Pressurization system, by the way, is set to auto. That's what we want. There's 100. Good stuff. So APU power is available. What I need to do here is APU gen is on. Right, cross your fingers. External AC off. The APU has taken over the load, and I can actually see it up here if I go to APU generator. There it is, which I probably should have checked before I swapped over. Someone's spinning around. Excellent. So let's go to aircrafts. Goodbye ground power. Chocks will stay in for the engine starts. Doors are all closed. We're all loaded up. It's coming together. We are almost ready to go. Nice parking by the previous crew, that's for sure. 45 minutes later, engine start. Oh dear. Well, not a long flight. 1 hour 30 for the flight. So there we go. So let us carry on with the checklist. Doors equipment closed and removed. Next is for the engine start. So let me just check there's no controller before we embarrass ourselves. There's no controller. Dana Virtual says departing from stand D6, so it knows what we're doing. That's good. I think we're ready to start up the engines. It is indeed a party in the other plane, no doubt about it. So let us go back to the charts. Get rid of the master warning. Before we can start the engines, surprise, surprise. That is frustrating. Perpetual says, wow, Danair, not heard that name for 30 years. Indeed, yeah. Hence the virtual airline. Kevin says, I've been watching on YouTube for a while and didn't realise you had a Twitch. No, we've got both. We stream on YouTube and Twitch. There we go. Right, they've moved out of the way. So let us turn on the I have the logo lights, and I'm going to turn on the beacon. That is the red light on top. So people will realise that we're starting up engines. It's surprisingly important, that little red light. It's really, if it's not working, it's very dangerous. You've got to inform the ground crew what's going on. Down on the lower overhead, we're going to turn off the packs. Well, we weren't using them anyway, so packs are going to be off, and the engine air is off. We are going to turn on the engine anti-ice. I think that's included in the checklist. You don't need to know that. There you go, engine anti-ice, all 4 on. Fuel pumps are all going to come on now. Thrust management system needs to be off. I suppose we don't want to accidentally take control of the engines whilst we're starting them. Engine start power to norm. Start power is already in norm. Shouldn't have to change that. And master switch on. We start 4, 3, 2, and 1. So let's start with engine number 4. Start master on. And this is quite straightforward. They actually describe it. Again, it's just brilliant. You start it N2 to 10, and then you can put fuel on. It's that easy. So let's go. Engine starts. You get ignition A and B. It starts operating. I'm looking for N2, which is down here, to reach 10. 10. Fuel on. Looking for fuel flow. You can turn off the other pilot in the EFB without stop them blocking the airway. Thanks very much. Yeah, I'm surprised that person's around on that sim, but it's probably just too quiet. By the way, when I clicked on here, it also set the target bugs up here, which is pretty great. But it's gone for 857 TGT, which is a bit high. So that has worked. And it's that easy. Starters are out, so I'm going to go for engine number 3. Start. Love the light down here. Really nice effect on it. I'm not sure if I've done 400 nautical miles turbo prop pilot. We will today, I think. I think this is over 400 miles. Over 10%. My job here that I need to do, get the fuel on. How long is this route? Let's see. Is there anywhere it's just written 36,000 feet? 484 nautical miles. So we shall find out today. Hopefully we don't get that issue. Engine's building up nicely. Back to the overheads. Just engine 2. By the way, when you start those, you can see even down here the loads all changing. Look at that drop on the APU generator as it struggles. It's drawing, no, not a drop, sorry, it's the amperage, so 150 amps to start up the engine. Quite a serious electrical committal. So there's 10%, fuel on. So I'm expecting as that engine does spool up, that will go back down to something more reasonable. View of the engine spooling up, okay. They're sort of hidden away. Okay, let's try and get you. I'll try and do. Let me get the drone ready. It's getting a bit tedious. You don't expect this on that sim. They're quite hidden away, so let's see. Let's get the camera right in close. Engine number 1. Start. So you can see it accelerating. 10%. Fuel on. Oh, there you go. Hockey for Life says you can use dot ignore call sign and depilot. Very good. I think they've gone now anyway. Ah, yeah, supposed to use the Aero RJ piles. So I wonder what profile was used by Vamsys when it created this. Let's hope that's the right amount of fuel. Good. So they're all done. So we'll skip through those. We've got all 4 engines up and running. Next, we're going to turn on generator 1 and 4. Brake fans to auto. That's on the upper overhead. Auto. Engine 2 and 3 hydraulic pumps can come on. So that is... Oh, hydraulics, where are they? Is that all up there? That's all up there. So engine driven pumps come on. Thanks, Pumpkin. Glad you're enjoying the stream. Someone drying their hair. Yeah, it does sound like it. AC pump and P2 auto and on. We want maximum redundancy available to us. Heaters all on. So that's talking about the heaters down here. Screen heaters, the vane heaters, and the pitot heaters are all on. That's all the electrically heated items. Thanks for the follow, Silvio. APU air and packs. So I'm going to have the APU air running the packs for the takeoff. So APU air is there, and I'll turn on the packs. And you can actually start to hear it, hopefully. Sorry, that's a terrible view. I've been manipulating the camera too much there. Engine air off, TMS on, and mode. So engine air, is that engine air off? As required, yeah, off because we're using the APU. You could turn it on, I think, to use it on the ground while you taxi out, and then turn it off for takeoff, I think. Down we come to the TMS. We're going to power it on, and we want takeoff mode. That's not quite worked as I'd expect. What's going on here? Throttles are idle. Try again. Power on. Maybe I'll give it a second to power on. I want to see that N1 reappear there. That's quite unusual. What have we missed? What have we missed? If I move them up a bit. Nope. Click your takeoff flaps on the card. Not sure. Okay, that's to be solved later. Transponder we can do now to T8. Taxi lights can come on. I'm going to taxi straight out. So I have runway exit lights, and I put these to taxi in the down position. You need to move before it goes up. Okay, thanks very much. Missed training, yeah, indeed. Brakes tested on initial roll. We will test those as we get going. Master warning there. That is telling us some of the ice protection and electrics it's not happy about. So let's just see. What have we missed on that? The generator offline. But we've turned on Gen 1 and 4. APU Gen off. All 4 engines are running. Why is Gen 4 offline? I feel like we've missed something here. It's not what I expected to see. Start Master. There you go. Thank you very much. Start Master needs to go off. And that's the selector. And the master. Did I miss that? Was that in the checklist? I'm sure that was in the checklist. Yeah, there it is. I started at this line. So start power needs to go to norm. Start selector and master needs to go off. There we go. Engine anti-ice as required. So it's not required now. Let's get rid of it. Okay, that makes sense. That gives us the master caution. Let's power that off. APU gen offline. We know it's giving us the warning because the APU is actually running. So that's the only electrical warning. The heaters are now working. Flight recorder's off until we release the parking brake. Perfect. Power on. Takeoff. There we go. So it just shows you this is the real deal. It's got to be done properly, but it does work when you do it properly. Right, let's get underway. So, clear on the right, clear on the left. Have I got the right key assigned to talk? Montpellier traffic, then Air 152, taxiing out to runway 12 left. Brakes released, ground crew hopefully are clear. They wouldn't normally stand quite that close. Pretty heavy today. Pretty good takeoff weights. Well done, Lush Edge. Yeah, that was Lush Edge who got that right. And they said it's nothing but a guess. Very good. Brakes off. Oh, we know what's happened here. It's the classic. Goodbye, chocks. Thank you very much. Beautiful, beautiful machine. Yeah, that ground crew would have got a bit of a... They would have definitely had their hair dried by those hair dryers. So out here, I'm actually going to head over there, then get out onto the main taxiway and turn left. Looks like there's no traffic around. Victor Tango, good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Sorted indeed, Captain Wazza. Remember, of course, the flight controls in this will not work on the ground, so we do check for full and free, but all we're moving and seeing is those roll spoilers and the little trim tabs move. The actual controls wouldn't move that much. The Microsoft Flight Simulator is quite forgiving. Even with a tiny bit of travel or ground speed, it does move the controls, but if we stop, they will stop moving. Oh, the problem is there's a headwind now because we're pointing to the wind. So yeah, a little more forgiving than the I think it should be. We're going to swap the showcase camera to be... Which wing view do we want? Do you want in front of the engines like that or behind? You guys tell me. Mr. Stop says, do you have to alter the trim? We will check that the trim is in the green band. I usually find I trim nose down a little bit to make it feel a little bit more pleasant on takeoff. An aircraft that you have to pull back slightly harder on to get in the air is less scary than one that just leaps into the air on its own or auto-rotates. Mariner Halley, good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining us. Great to see you here. How's the audio, everyone? It says TRFC is outside air temperature. TRFC, yes, I think it would be, but we are going to use a flex takeoff today. So we've increased the temperature artificially so that the engines only spool up to a bit lower. That's the plan, at least. And that's from the JustFlight did send an email out explaining that on, and I think it's in their tutorial video as well. Right, let's get this flap set. So I said we're going to do a flap 18 takeoff, which goes to there. Sounds are amazing. I do agree. Should do a brake check, really. By the way, you can see the brakes moving around down here. Airbus hides it. It just shows us on the alternate system, which is reversed actually for the Airbus. Green and yellow. Green is the primary. Alpha Whiskey says, once sat for 5 minutes revving the JustFlight turbo arrow in the pitch dark, running white wouldn't move. Chocks and tie downs. Yeah, it's easily done. Oof, that's a bit of a lag. So I'm hoping... I wonder if we're going to get in trouble with our virtual airline for setting the flaps after we taxied out. I'm not sure what order it wants to see them in. You can actually hear some rattling and so on going on. So that's now set. Let's click the card, which has set the bugs. There we go. That worked. So now we did it. Just going to bring it to a stop here. But now we've done it with the 820 TGT, which is the bug, which is up there. And we got a rotate speed of 116, which is in there, 116. So really handy, great ease of use in this add-on. Flaps out before takeoff, all counts. We do have Airbus in the fleet too. Perfect. Thanks, Lauren V. Flying for fun says still not keen on the runaway ground vehicles in Microsoft Flight Simulator. No, they do just love driving around wherever they feel like. It's just beautiful. So nice to use. Right. Before takeoff checklist. Brakes are checked, they're on the yellow system. Flaps selected and checked. Flight instruments checked. Flight directors on as required. Trims. Click the CG SMC button on the EFB to set takeoff trim. $25.5 says. Well, that doesn't match that at all. It says click the CG. So if let's say, I'm just going to try this out. Sorry, bear with me. We've got it set there. That's at 3.5. So let us click that. No, that hasn't changed it at all. I want the... Oh. What was that? What did I just do? Rudder trim to neutral. Maybe that is 25.5 at 3.5. I don't know. Anyway, it's in the green band. I'm just going to put it a bit nose down. I'm going to cheat slightly. Try clicking the white box. Ah, that made a noise. Ooh, 4. Pretty low down. Let's do a takeoff config check. So I'm just going to release the brake. And that works. That's pretty nose up. But it could be because we're full. Could make sense. Could be quite a forward CG. Anyway, the rest are... We've got 0 on the rudder and 0 on the ailerons. So trims are checked. Config. Let's just test that one last time. It does work. Okay. Yeah, we will. I don't know why I'm trying to keep taxiing. Let's just stop. Go to overhead panel. And we want continuous ignition, please, for the engines for startup. No surprise. Sorry, for takeoff. Mike and Azza, thanks for your follows. Cabin secured. So we'll just give them a bing bong. Weather radar, not required. Let's get all the landing lights on. Let's get the strobe lights on. Oh, let's have no smoking on as well. Strobe lights on. There we go. TMS is on, and it's on takeoff mode for sure. Flight controls, let's do another check of those. Full and free. Master warning system checked. We have the electrics on the overhead panel. We know why. We've got parking brake. We know why. Brake fans and flight recorder. All of those are expected, so that's ticked. And that's the before takeoff checklist complete. Good. Let's go then. Click on the cabin announcement button. Where is that? Ah, yes, of course.
Cabin crew, please take your seats for takeoff.
Love it. Right, let's not stay on this page. Let's go back to charts. So here we are. Montpellier traffic, down air 152, lining up, taking off, runway 12 left.
Cabin is secure.
Good. So we're in RNAV. We're going to take off. We're going to climb to, I think it was 520 feet. Clear on the approach, clear on the runway, and clear on the right. Yep, that's just the truck. No problems there. And then we're going to make our left turn out and then up to the November Golf NDB. So I'm going to have this side to NDB. Hopefully that'll pick that up when we're in the air, and then we have VOR2 to track towards, make sure that's working out. We're climbing up to a flight level 15,000 feet, which is armed in the window, and we'll use nav mode when we are up there. Oh, bit too much brakes there. So for takeoff, we are going to spool up the engines, then we're going to get them close enough that the TMS can set them to 88.6, which I'm going to set before we actually get going. Then we're going to roll along. We're going to rotate at 116, which is absolutely fine, and I'm going to pitch to 12 degrees. 12 degrees of pitch. We're going to fly like that up to about 1,500 feet, so that would include the first turn. So I will need to, at some point, once we're in the air, we will engage lateral navigation mode, because we're going to have to fly the first turn before we've accelerated, because that's 520, it's an early first turn. We're going to lower the nose from 12 degrees to about 7.5, which will give us about 1,000 feet per minute. We can accelerate. We'll get the calls from PM to retract the flaps. The airplane might almost level off there, so we'll be careful not to. And then we will reset 10 degrees of pitch, carry on climbing. And then at some point after that, we can change the TGT and target modes. Okay, let's go. Arm LNAV. Let's do it now. Why not? So that gives us off to the right. Yeah, it seems sensible. lower workload if we have it done now. So, right, let's go.
TMS set to takeoff.
Spooling up. Stabilized. Let's put it where it needs to be.
Power set, flex achieved.
88.6 we're looking for, so the TMS is not giving us any arrow, so it means it thinks it can achieve it, and it's spooling it down to 88. So let's go. 116 for the rotation. That fog seems to have cleared out nicely.
Speed alive, both sides.
There's a bit of a breeze, needing a bit of left rudder here. Wow, needing loads of left rudder.
Cross-checked.
So it's going to weathercock to the right when we get in the air.
V1. Rotate.
There's the rotate call. Gently pitching up.
V2.
Let it weathercock.
Positive rate of climb, gear up.
12 degrees. Gear coming up. Bit low. Keep it up at 12. And yeah, as you can see, that's keeping about 135 knots. Pretty reasonable sort of V2 speed. Needs a bit more back trim, so that was definitely the right trim. I'm glad I didn't fiddle with that. 5-10 feet, we can make our left turn. Put this a bit low on the nose, keep it up. So people were saying that the performance seemed a bit high on this aircraft at launch, but actually if you've ran the TMS modes properly, which I didn't realise how to do until JustFlight kindly emailed me, but yeah, this is what gives you the more realistic climb performance of this aircraft, which was it's not a crazy performance aircraft, but it doesn't seem as underpowered as I imagined it would be. So 1500 feet, rolling wings level as we intercept that. Going to lower the nose to 10 degrees, no sorry, 7.5 degrees of pitch, so we come quite a way down. Intercepting that lateral nav, I'm using the HSI below. And now waiting for the call-outs to take quite a lot of nose down trim. There we go. FO will shout out. We've only got one flap to retract, remember. So keeping that nose down, making that right turn now. We're intercepting this here. Should work out. Then we go right. Evening, Nice West. Good to see you. Very sensitive on the roll, that flight director. Very sensitive.
EFTO, safe height speed, select flaps up.
So flaps up. They start to make that howl. We're losing that climb as those flaps come in, needing a bit of nose up trim now. Still climbing though, 1,000 feet per minute. Let's roll wings level there. Oh, keep climbing. Yeah, it's quite a handful. Okay, coming up to 250 knots. Let's engage. We've got a pitch hold, so what I'm going to do is engage a vertical mode. I'm going to do VS. There it goes. I'm going to engage the autopilot. So we are now in lateral nav and vertical speed of about 1,000 feet per minute. I'm going to start bringing the thrust back because we need to set climb thrust. They're just going to have to wait for us here. 18.2 miles, so we're now on this leg out to the Member Gulf. Not showing up here, sadly. VOR1, it's not picking up the Member Gulf. 354. It's because I need to set it to ADF. Hopefully that will work. There it is. So November Golf is right in front of us on this needle display. VOR2 not quite functioning. We're going to deal with that later. We know roughly where we're going. We know our nav is working. 250 knots, a little bit faster, powering back. Right, now we need to set. We can use TGT or sync. I'm going to go to TGT 820. So now if I set the thrust levers, they will target the TGT of 820 for the climb, as you can see down here, which is the maximum we're allowed to use at this point. And then I can set IAS and let it climb. We are going a bit fast. So what we'll do is I could sync it a bit slower, but we're going to climb way first. Let's go to standards. 1213. quickly climb to flight level. 1213, they are synchronized. Excellent. Right, let's see who we need to contact. We've got control center 12465. we're talking to. Right. Control, bonjour, Danair 152 on departure from Montpellier. Airtrek 6 Lima passing 7,600 feet, climbing flight level 150.
Dan 152, hello, squawk 5654, climb level 360.
Squawk 5654, climb flight level 360, Danair 152. Excellent news. 360, look at that hideous design. As soon as you try and change the altitude, it automatically disengages the arm. Thanks Crystal and Evil for the follows. And the guy who says Mayday as well. So 36 for the cruise. 1, 2. You can also hold it, by the way. 36, and just please remember to arm it. It will happen many times that you forget. Dougal, thanks so much for coming along, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us. Through 10,000 feet, we're in IIS mode. Waypoint, LNAV, RNAV, that's good. Still, we stick with 820. It goes to 840 at 15,000 feet. So, let us turn off the lights. We don't need those. The nose is quite low. It's a little bit bumpy, so I'm just going to leave it till we get out of this cloud layer. It can be quite a little bit choppy at these. This one says 360 is too high. Yeah, so simply planned at 3.6. I was wondering, I'm curious to see if we make it there. Nice West says, I remember servicing these birds at my local airport as a student, Lufthansa and Eurowings had them. Excellent. Isn't the ceiling 3.1? Max out your pressurized is 30,000. Yeah, so that was, I was dubious of the altitude that it gave me, but if anyone has the actual limit, it probably is in the JustFlight manual. Let us run through the after takeoff checklist. Landing it up, lights out. Flaps are up. TMS, sync. We're not using sync, we've gone straight to TGT.
Dan Air 152, please check the squawk code. I still show you on 7,000.
Oh, apologies, Dan Air 152. Yeah, that is entirely my bad. So, let's go to squawk.
Marshall, good afternoon. In Air
5.
Oh, Delta Bravo, flight level 3, Tasha, Martini. Remember, Delta Bravo, must say hello, identify, proceed direct back to you, level 350.
Engine air. So we're still using the APU to pressurize, but we don't want to do that anymore. So we're going to turn on the engine air, let them do the packs, and let's turn off the APU air.
To identify, proceed direct to MOPEM level 360.
Jet MOPEM level 360. Thank you, Dan Air 152. Packs are both on, and are we pressurizing? That's an excellent question. Where is the cabin altitude shown? I think it's down here. There it is. Yes, cabin altitude is at 0. We've got a differential pressure of over 6. Now, I think we've made a mistake here. Everyone thinks it's 310. So that would be 30,000 in this direction. There's an electric caution. That's the APU gen offline. Okay, let's sort this mess out. So, if I set the flight level, let's go up to flight level 300. Give a cabin altitude of 8,000 feet. So look at that, that puts it at about 29,000 feet maximum. Now I'm expecting to see the cabin climb. There we go. Because that differential pressure is about to exceed the maximum, so we need that cabin to climb. What I might do is just lower the climb rate for a short while to let it catch up. So if we go to vertical speed, and then I press the sync button, so you can see the sync highlight in white there. I can lower that nose right down to 500 feet per minute. Try and be a bit gentler than this. Just get a really gentle climb rate, and then I press sync again, and now it will target that. I'm going to bring the climb thrust back a bit. This is entirely my fault because of the poor setup I did. So 500 feet per minute now. Hopefully that cabin can climb to catch us up. Good. We can increase the rate. Let's see if that works. Yeah, 1,200 feet per minute now. So we'll We'll let it have a bit of a higher maximum rate. APU is not being used for anything. The generator's offline. Goodbye, APU. Thank you for your work. So, pressure relations under control. Speed is under control. Next step, we need to admit that we can't go up. I am indeed using the TC8. So some people think service ceiling 3.1, absolute ceiling 3.5. Master caution APU. That's because we turned it off. Good. Yeah, so through 15,000 feet we can change the maximum target temperature from 820 to 840. So that's now set to 840. That's what the TMS will target if we set it high enough. And we're going to change our cruise level to 310. Down a 152. Can we change our cruise level, please, to flight level 300?
Confirm, down 152, stop climb level 300.
Stop climb, flight level 300, down a 152. Okay, flight level 300s.
Air Grease 513, contact.
We'll start there, and I'd be curious to see. I think it's going to have plenty of performance. It's not as bad as I've always thought. Oh yeah, Derek Mopem, thank you very much.
Barcelona 13235 there.
This is why I need you guys here. So there you go, because we're in RNAV,
Bye.
it just does a left turn. 124 miles to go to that point. I know people aren't too happy about this working title, but you know, it's just a feature that allows you to fly it around like this. Everything else there, it works, and it was a modified thing that they just added in, so I really don't mind. It's nice just to have the option to do the lateral nav without having to insist VOR to VOR. Cameron says, I think your power might still be set to APU Gen. I don't think it is. I'm pretty confident on that one. I've got generator 4 and 1. APU Gen is off. Yes, good. But thank you for checking. Right. So packs are both on, and we are pressurizing. Next is the climb checklist. Altimeters are to standard. Here we go. PTU and AC pump can now turn off. The point is we're happy that if we lose the hydraulic system now, we aren't immediately about to crash, so we don't need to have them running all the time. It's just a wear and heat on the system. So AC pump is off, PTU is off, APU stopped. Fasten seatbelts, I think it's time. Let's let them out. Lights as required, we've turned them off. Next is descent. Brilliant. That checklist is so good, so good. Lovely, you can indeed. Now I don't want to accidentally change the panel state, but we'll try.
This is Victor Romeo, I'll say hello
to
direct.
I'm going to release the crew. Should have already done that. If we go to settings, we can have HF aerials. Let's have those, please. Auto ground idle is talking about in flight. I can actually show you. So I've got my throttle levers calibrated as normal, but that's my idle position in flight with mine fully back. There's no reversers on this aircraft, but what that's doing is, let's make sure I don't lose too much speed while I mess around. What that's doing is there'll be a ball in there that stops you being able to actually move them back past it in flight. So that's simulated artificially like that, which is I think a really nice detail. We haven't got all fuel tanks, we don't need it. We've got the TCAS on the VSI, I've synced the altimeters. And I can turn off the cockpit pilots. Let's get rid of those. And you can turn on and off the cabin as well. Home. Charts. Okay, we can go to map now. So there we are. Mont Blanc over there. So we're doing 280, 20,000 feet. How's the cabin looking? Cabin altitude is now well above us, so I'm happy that we can go back to IS and start climbing properly. So I'm going to set TGT of 840. There we go. So now the TMS will target that roughly. Ice detected. Look at that. So that's immediately going to be engine anti-ice. Oh, there we go. Thanks very much. Ashley says, by the way, JustFlight manual gives economic cruise altitude 30,000 feet for all 146 variants. So that's what we're going to go to. There is actually a limitation. You can see 26,000 feet altitude limitation applies in icing. Now, if you get above 26,000 feet, thanks for those follows to Skytramp and JWit and Aero Level. Yeah, so this little sticker is telling me not to go above 26,000 in icing, but remember, by the time you're above 26,000, you'd expect it to be so cold that you wouldn't really be in icing conditions. There you go, icing's turned off because we're above the clouds now. Sort of still in them, we might get a little bit more. Where's the static air temperature? That's what I need. Outside air temperature is minus 25, so this is getting cold for icing. Anything below minus 40 and you really don't expect it. Peter 4, I do have the throttle detent, but it's sort of soft. I only have the throttle detent in one side. That way I can use my throttles for Airbus or non-Airbus aircraft.
Control, Speedbird 7
So
Papa
we can quite happily now carry on climbing up above 26,000 feet. We've emptied our centre tank.
Luma.
And turn off the engine anti-ice.
Here's 7 Papa Whiskey Montpellier, hello, proceed direct, open.
Speedbird 7 Papa Whiskey, direct to open.
I have got a video, Crystal the Wingle. Go to my YouTube channel, the 320 Sim Pilot on YouTube, and I've got a sort of a scenic video of the approach into there with different wing views and so on. Flying for Fun says, okay, time to release the crew, sets cold and dark. Yes, easily done. Oh, galley power, that is a good one. I should probably give them that. I'm sure we'd have complained, or we'd have been complaining when we didn't have a cup of tea. Altitude now in the cabin, 8,000 feet. The cabin's level. So, because the cabin's no longer climbing, even though we're climbing, it means that this differential pressure will keep climbing. Temperature outside down to minus 30 almost, so I would not expect icing here realistically. Oh yes, and Lauren B asks, can you remove the FMC? FMS navigation there. You tick on that and it disappears. We obviously won't do that mid-flight. It's great. This is the dream. You know, this is what we were all waiting for, to be able to have proper airplanes in Microsoft Flight Simulator, so that we can use them for the stunning visuals. In my video I made on the MD-82, the Leonardo MD-82, I flew it into Naples, and I just can't describe to you how, on final approach, that the visual picture was just exactly the same in terms of the way the terrain was laid out, the slope up on the other side of the runway. Just excellent. Excellent. Hey dog, hello. Remains game says they were sitting in the dark all this time. Usually galley power will be things like the kettles and the ovens, the big electrical drawers like that.
Air control, hello, Eurowings 4 Uniform Bravo.
Says the person who said the generator wasn't correctly set meant that the second turning knob on the top on the electrical panel is incorrectly still set to APJ. Ah, I see what you mean. Right, so that is, this is just a display. Whether you constantly check it on, I don't know. But yeah, fair enough, we can have it set to one of the engines.
Descent at level 110 and squawk 1000, Eurowings 4 Uniform Bravo.
Eurowings 4 Uniform Bravo, how many miles before you're able to...
Do we have a Mach number somewhere? Oh yeah, we do, out there, so we're 0.65.
Eurowings 4 Uniform Bravo.
BC Jake, thank you so much. BC Jake kindly super chatted $10. BC Jake says, love you 320 Sim Pilot, hope you're enjoying the week thus far. Can't wait for PMDG content, going to be a fun week. Thank you so much BC Jake, really appreciate it, very kind of you. Thanks for supporting the channel, and indeed we have more videos to make. More videos to make. They could really have helped us out, couldn't they, by spreading out the releases.
Enter 59 Delta Whiskey, Claremont Ferraro, request clearance Paris.
There we go, 1,000 feet to go. Still climbing very well. See, I think we could easily make it up to 36, realistically. It's probably more of a pressurization issue, because we're zooming through here. 700 feet per minute, Mach decimals, 6-7.
Wizard 2 Tango, sorry for the black side, level 370 Mount.
Yes, thank you very much, VG Jake, really appreciate it, glad you're enjoying it. The PMDG content, if it comes out, I don't know when it's coming out, I've got no inside information, I haven't had a preview copy, as you know, so I'm just waiting like you guys to hear about it. When that releases, I don't know how quickly I'll be able to make a video. So it may not be immediate. That's what I'll say on that, because I am actually going to be quite busy now. I spent my day off. This is
56530.
a bit embarrassing, but I spent many hours on my day off yesterday trying to get my head around the MD82. So I'll just turn it down in case air traffic's a little bit loud for you guys. You let me know though. Richard Darsley, no, you just tuned in, but no, we haven't had. Oh, we had a bit of a pressurization issue, but I think we've stabilised it. There we go. That's working out nicely. 30,000 feet. I'm actually going to set it to sync with N1 on engine number 1 as the master, and we'll bring the power back. Before it overspeeds. See, it's easily got excess thrust at this altitude. Yeah, so I spent my day off yesterday learning the MD80, and I say learning, there's a lot of, and I thank you for your help on Discord, those of you who saw my questions, figuring out where liveries go, where's the manuals hidden, where do the flight plans go, and how do they get converted into that aircraft. Some things in that is very simple, like the FMC, and yeah, anyway, it took me a while to put that video together, I'll say that. So the result is, that was my day off spent, and I'm streaming today, and then I'll be working again, so it's unlikely I'll be able to catch the PMDG at release if it comes out in the next few days, but I don't know when that's coming. Hayden J. Roberts, thank you so much for your £1.46, really appreciate it, and yeah, as ever with Hayden, I see what you did there. Thank you very much, very kind Hayden, thanks for coming along today.
39401
really appreciate it.
Squawk 5603.
Elitis Maggie says, I left a comment on your MD80 video, hopefully it'll be of some help clear some things up. Thank you very much, Elitis Maggie. Yes, lots to learn on the MD80. It's yeah, it's a complicated add-on that, and it takes a little while. JB says, so now there's the 146, the MD82 and the 737. Hopefully that'll put the rest puts to rest the idea Microsoft Flight Simulator can't support or handle complex aircraft. Yes, it's taken almost 2 years, but they are here. Warhamster 1 says, hey, see you on the dark side. Are you on multiplayer? No, we are just using the VATSIM server, and there's the overspeed warning. Loads of spare thrust. Trickle that back a bit. Thank you again, VT Jake, and thank you to Hayden for those kind donations. Pavel says, will MD82 be part of Dan Air? So we are flying for Dan Air Virtual. The link is in the description. It's great fun. It's a virtual airline. They take things a little bit more sensibly and more relaxed. It's not quite as strict as some other virtual airlines, which means you can actually have a practicality of getting the flights in when you want to. Lots of old retro airlines in there, including Air 2000, or sorry, not Air 2000, First Choice, Jet Set, and Dan Air, of course, and then Meridiana was added, which does fly the MD80. So for those of you who want to, Pavel, you could join up and start flying the MD80. It's great. It's integrated through VATSIM, through VAMSys with Pegasus software. It's dead easy. Even you saw at the start of the stream, first flight I've done in Microsoft Flight Simulator using that software, and it just works with a little bit of help from you guys. And it tracks, gives you a score for your landing, and you fly around the different route network. It's great. You've just got to use the right livery and the right aeroplane, but they have lots of airplanes and they're quite practical about which ones you need. So chances are, if you've got a complex add-on, you'll be able to fly at least one of the routes. And of course, it's free to join anyway. But thank you so much to the guys running that, because it's come together so nicely. Lots of great fun notices, and I'm definitely going to fly the MD82 on the next sector that I can with it. Lisa Maggie says, I've done a couple of flights in the MD80 so far. I'm really enjoying it. Sadly, because MD80 came out a day after the 146, I haven't had time to play around with this bird yet. Yes, it was a busy weekend. Hello from Massachusetts to you, Nari. Thank you for coming along. I do fly X-Plane, the slick one indeed. Richard says, the sim has G-Lock now, so Herboxia should be easy. It should indeed. Hash says, speaking of MD82 liveries, where do they go? Yes, that confused me. If you go on Discord, you'll see it on there in the chats channel for Microsoft Flight Simulator aircraft. Ryan E, I am well. Ryan E says, are the basic principles adapted across from the Airbus in terms of hydraulics, APU, etc., in terms of orders to do things, or is it completely new learning curve? This aircraft, the 146, is very different to the Airbus. There's just little things you can see the similarity in, such as the names of the hydraulic system and so on. But no, the way the switches on the overhead panel are set up and the amount of work you have to do is a lot more compared to the Airbus. So he says, what is your opinion is the best aircraft for VFR navigation in Microsoft Flight Simulator? If you want to do small general aviation VFR navigating, then it would be the JustFlight general aviation aircraft, the Arrow and so on. They are excellent for Microsoft Flight Simulator. Ed, yes indeed, you can join now and you can use BAe146 100, 200, 300 all included. It's great. Javelin is working on the Meridiana 146 liveries too. Explain how Microsoft Flight Simulator. Excellent, Javelin, thank you. So we're going to have plenty of liveries, it sounds like. So you have your choice of aircraft. Daniel says, hi, glad to see you so dedicated with the sim. I have a question for you. Is there a predominant opinion between pilots about the airline rankings such as Skytrax? No. No. Nobody reads that. That sounds that bad. It's not that we don't care about the passenger experience and so on. It's just that airline awards become quite numbing. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different awards. It feels like anyway, and yeah, we're focused on the safety side of things, and we are of course customer service, but safety comes way up on that list above customer service. So we are so focused on that. But yes, if we do obviously care about the customer experience, but we're not going to start reading up on different awards and so on. We're just focusing on what we can do for our customers on the day, that sort of thing. Yeah, Andy's saying, Jamlin, your work is stunning and massively appreciated. It is great work, Jamlin. Thank you so much for putting those together. Conveyance Game says, I just copied the MD-80 livery straight to community folder and it just worked. So there you go. I think if you get your MD-80 livery from flightsim.to, then it just goes in your community folder as per normal. If you use the official liveries included with or that you can download from Leonardo, then that has to use the livery manager. That's the difference. Apparently, Conveyance Games.
Air 152, contact Europe for West 135125.
135125. Dan Air 152. Thank you. Bye bye. 135. Where are we going? We're still going to Mopem at 17 miles to go. Eurocontrol, good afternoon, Dan Air 152, flight level 300 to Mopem.
Dan Air 152, hello, identified.
Great. Richard Dudley says DC6 also great for radio nav. It is indeed. DC6 is a bit more of a handful. We haven't flown it in ages. That's a bit bad. We should really fly that. Still going a tiny bit fast. Power back a little bit. Making progress. 414 is good. There you go. I haven't tried the 414. There's so many add-ons. I'm just not able to keep up anymore. I would have, when I was first doing this YouTube channel, we would have a video a day, and now obviously it's spread out a bit more because I just learning so many airplanes and binding all the controls and so on. Obviously it takes a while, and I don't want to make a video where I don't have a clue what I'm doing. I appreciate that I still end up making them and I don't get everything right. There'll be gaps missing because these are hugely complex airplanes, and all you have to do is read the information about the takeoff, for example, that JustFlight have in their tutorial on it, and it just shows you how much there is to learn. And also the fact I've made Airbus tutorials endlessly. I've got lists still of things I need to talk about, so it's incredible how much there is to cover. Gentleman says, is the way the DME next to the HSI counts realistic? Always think it should be a smooth transition. How do you mean a smooth transition? I think that's reasonable, doing to one decimal place. It's quite a small. Yeah, maybe it would count down a little more evenly. I don't know.
Identified, climb flight level 360.
Climb flight level 360, 3111.
Seems reasonable, but yeah, it does seem to jump a tiny bit. Seeing as it's an RNAV, you would expect it to be a little smoother. The VOR DMEs could quite easily jump around a tiny bit. And it says, we're still waiting for someone to paint the DC-6 to replicate Dan Air's sold DC-7 so we can add it. Excellent. Oh, gentleman says, not that one on the analog gauge. Oh, all right, let's tune up the next VOR. How am I going to do that? Is a great question. Because we are flying to a VOR. Is the information shown in here? BRY. It's alright, I do have it. I was just wondering if there's a way to see it in here. So let's tune up the BRY and I'll have a look at that DME countdown. So we've done Montpellier 114.1. 114.1. Put that VOR. See if it wakes up. Could be a bit far away right now. Bear Tato Style says, do you do any Taskmaster watching? It's occurred to me that you speak very similarly to Alex Horn in terms of particular phrases. Taskmaster, for those of you who don't know, is a TV show in the UK where they create these sort of quite inventive games and they get celebrities to do them. It sounds a bit of a game show. It's not quite like that. It's very good, but I've only seen very few. I have not seen much of it, so I don't regularly watch Taskmaster, no. But yeah, that is very possible. I'm sure it's good to sound like someone on TV. I can't see why that would be bad. Thanks for the follow to Tankin. Frequency on the FMCs is jumping.
Good evening, it's Easy 1 over Charlie, flight 370.
Frequency.
Easy 1 over Charlie, good evening, identified.
Select airport, approach, Cat 1. Ah, very good. So if I put in, what did we say that waypoint was? BRY.
79 kilo, roger.
Oh, that's never good when it just vanishes into the system.
Echo back in Cockpit.
Don't know what you've changed.
I'm Jet 57 Echo, roger.
No, that hasn't worked. Thank you, DHD, for the follow. Nick says, will there be a Mad Dog stream? Yes. But remember, Mad Dog video, it's... How long is it? It's massive. It's 1 hour 40. Let me just check. Yeah, 1 hour 40 minutes. So it's basically like a stream. So on the channel, I've got a video where I go around the outside of it, take it for a flight. We fly from Milan down to Naples, do a landing, look at some replays. Sounds straightforward enough, but it took ages to film. It's a 1 hour 40 video, even with that was with a full cold and dark startup and so on. I appreciate I'm a little bit late to the party. Most of you have probably seen plenty of videos on it by now, so aren't overly interested. But that's I thought it'd be a good video to do anyway. So yeah, we will stream it in the future, but that's not going to happen immediately because I'm about to start work again. But it's in terms of the Mad Dog, I think it's nice. It is expensive, so you need to know you're going to use it to make it worth it. Because at £90, it's a lot. But I thought it was very nice. And I got people were commenting, they're complaining about the textures and so on, and there's some of the sounds, and I think the textures, yes, there's some textures that don't look great up close, not as neat. but there are some sounds that are
Binary,
more
back.
of a problem. Some of the sounds are a little bit lacking, which you can hear in the video. If you watch through the video, you'll get a sense of the audio on it as well. I had it turned up pretty much full the whole time. But yeah, it's the actual... as soon as you start focusing on flying the airplane, I thought the cockpit looked great. I thought the systems worked really nicely. The hard part was the sort of the admin side. It was getting the controls and everything set up. Whereas in this aircraft, there's one control you need to set up, and that's sync, which goes to toggle afterburner. So you assign you assign toggle afterburner to any button that you want to use as a toggle button, not a holding button, a toggle button, to your sync. So I've got it set to one of the buttons on the base of my joystick. I can just press it. Once sync comes on, I believe in the real aircraft they would have held down the button, but it's a toggle in here. And I press it again and it releases. And that is something you need in terms of adjusting vertical speed and so on the fly, as it were. And that's where the EFB in this is a lot more practical, a lot more useful, whereas the one in the Mad Dog is a little bit less functional, a little bit more complicated. In order to get the flight plan loaded into it, you've got to convert it, or not convert it, but download it in the right format. SimBrief does already provide the format and move it over, whereas here I could just connect straight into SimBrief with my username or user ID, so that's even easier, isn't it? So that's nice. The Mad Dog, the FMC is very Boeing style, but it is a complete custom FMC. It's very good. It works exactly as you'd expect. The VNav works in it. It's got a little EFIS screen. So I actually think it's a good add-on. I don't think it needs any hate, and I just think it's, hopefully they just improve the sounds for sure. That would be nice. And even the textures, I don't think the textures are bad as some people think, or some people seem to really dislike them, which is everyone's opinion. To me, they were fine unless you put the camera right up into within a few feet of the surfaces. And if you think that that's not fair for £90, then I can't argue with you. Because the reality is, this add-on, we don't have any trouble with the textures. We can move the camera around up close and it looks great. So there you go. I think they've perhaps suffered because the textures they've provided are very dirty, very realistic in the sense that the aircraft was a bit older. Now they're very dirty on this one as well, but I think there's so much grime and so on the MD-80 textures that they show up as not being the highest resolution because there's so many of them, whereas on this one they found a really nice balance of blending the dirt and the textures and the different materials all into a package. Now let's do it. I'll stop talking, we'll go outside for a little bit. Cover your ears.
Chanex 154, contact Barcelona 132.35, goodbye.
132.35, goodbye, check 1
So there you go. It's and that's the problem, isn't it? It looks this. If you have an add-on like this, where there's nothing to complain about, the textures are just brilliant all around, then on a more expensive add-on, people expect it to be as good. If this one wasn't released at the same time, I wonder if people would be quite as critical, because I think that the MD-80 looks up to standard, I would say, in many areas. There's just a few areas that are lacking. For example, even the wing views in it, I actually think look just fine. It's only when you move the camera closer. But I can understand the point that this is a less expensive add-on, released at the same time, and you can move right up to every part of the wing and see the streaks, you can see the decals, you can read the warning labels, and that is something that people want, and I understand that. This is just JustFlight at their best, this add-on. It's just excellent. They've done such a good job with it.
0653.
George Lumpkin is negative. Well done, George. Excellent. So off to Orlando on a 3:30. Have fun. I'm incredibly jealous. Enjoy. Brilliant. Everybody should go and book a plane ticket right now, please. Ed says, to be fair, as long as the cockpit textures are good, I'm happy. And that's what I would say. I used the Leonardo as I would use any add-on for that flight, and I didn't notice the issue, except for when I was looking for it. And I actually think the cockpit looks great. I really do think they've done a good job on the cockpit. I think it's just good. So there we go. Right, the DME. So
0516, thanks. You're identified.
It's ticking over as opposed to scrolling through. I haven't looked at an HSI like this for a long time. I'm going to take a look next time I get the chance and see what it does, if I get the chance to see one. They're very rare these days.
Banner 24 Juliet, hello, identified.
JB says, I think when PMDG released the DC6 at the price they did, a lot of people were expecting that would be the upper region in terms of premium add-ons, hence the close-up inspection of €75. Right. And it's €75 without tax, isn't it? So yeah, it's that's the problem, isn't it then? It's not the problem, but that seems to be where people's expectations have been set. It's just the price. If you set the price there, then you have to deal with the expectations. Civics Tango, thanks for coming along. Thanks for all your hard work on Dan Air Virtual as well. Yaroslav, good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Izza, thanks for the follow. Ah, there we go. There is an option for gauge refresh in the settings. There we go. Yes, there is indeed. Let's go. Aircraft settings. Gauge refresh rate. Yeah, actually, good point. I assume that means the way the horizon moves and so on, as opposed to the way this scrolls through. Mr. Salt says, I'll get the Mad Dog in sail. There you go. Planes and Trains with Elliot says, what waypoint does managed descent plan to be? Bottom of descent. Managed descent is working all the way down to the runway in the Airbus. So it'll plan it will obey the constraints that are loaded in by the database, and it will plan to get all the way down to the runway. Ross says, what do you use to get your radio panel working? I had to download the software from Logitech, and that was it. It works out of the box with that. I haven't had to update that since I bought it. And you have to assign a avionics master switch on in Flight Simulator for some of the aircraft for it to work. But I didn't have to for this one. The Cold and Dark Airplane powered it on and it all came to life. I think when I did this. How are we doing on fuel? Because I'm going along as fast as we can, which I'm sure is not the most efficient. We have got 5 tons of fuel. So we burn 1.3. Well, that's plenty. That's not bad at all. I think we'll have more than enough. I did put an extra ton on. I'm pretty sure SimBrief thinks you need way more than you actually do. Ron says, I'm loving the 146, but also waiting to get my hands on the 737. Indeed. Indeed. I'll be curious to see, because do you remember when the PMDG DC6 was released? Some of the textures in the cockpit of that, and I'd say still some of the textures in the cockpit of that are fine, but some of them are incredibly empty compared to what you have here. So I'm curious to see what the the 737 cockpit looks like. 737 obviously being their flagship product, so I'm expecting great things. But I'm curious as well what the price and release date will be. But it sounds like it's getting very close.
Ryder 516 November approved.
What's your favourite long-haul aircraft? A380 at the moment to be a passenger on. Rambo says, I don't care about textures compared to systems depth. I don't care much about textures compared to systems depth, but 90 euros is too much. There you go. So some people the price is too much, and that's fair. There's absolutely your choice. If you are madly obsessed with the MD-80, then I'd say it's an excellent add-on. But if you're not fast and it's just to have an airliner, then it's expensive. You better be sure you're going to use it. They did mention it might release this weekend. This is the PMDG 737, but no updates since then. Everyone is refreshing the forums like mad. So is that the weekend coming? So in a few days. Yeah, I'm going to entirely miss the boat on that one as well, I'm afraid. Arco says, tips on top of descent calculations in the 146. I just got it a couple of days ago. I love the content. Cheers from St. Louis, USA. Excellent, Arco. Thanks very much for coming along. Thanks for saying so. I would do exactly the same as I do in the Airbus. Just 3 times. It's a very normal sort of calculation. So I'm at 30,000 feet, 90 miles from the airport. I need to start my descent, 90 track miles. So obviously you can descend a bit later because we're usually a bit lower in this aircraft, it seems. I would also imagine it has more drag available to it, so I don't know if you need to add that extra 10 miles. Because with 4 engines, if you bring the thrust back, I think there'll be plenty of drag, and you've got the huge speed brake. But if you want to do 3 times your altitude plus a little bit, I think that would work just fine. PMDG is a dream for 737 fans. If FS Labs made a 320, it would be a dream in Microsoft Flight Simulator, says TKC. Coming this weekend, yeah. Oh well, I'm definitely missing it, the boat on that. I sort of wish I'd just streamed the MD-80 instead of making the video now. I don't know how useful the videos are for people. But it was good fun to do. It was good fun, and I learnt a lot while making that video. Because there's always a temptation when if you publish videos on YouTube. I've said this many times. YouTube starts to try and get into your head and convince you to just everything's about the view count. It will constantly tell you the view count of your latest video and if it's doing badly and so on. So of course, getting a video on an aircraft out as soon as it's released, it always does much better than missing the boat by a few days when everyone's sort of watched all the videos and moved on or bought it themselves.
Are you able to flight level 3?
But the risk of doing that is if you get your video out straight away, is that you can end up quite easily just putting nonsense on it and not really showing what you're supposed to, or not really understanding it. And even after trying hard to avoid that, I still end up doing that. So it can be a tricky balancing act, and then it's made even worse by the fact that now I'm just very thankfully busy flying. So yeah, it tends to get delayed a bit. Anonymous, good to see you. Say hi, Captain. Hi, Future on Demand. Watching me. Have a good flight. Hello, Anonymous, and enjoy watching in the future.
Alpine 3-1 Uniform Bravo, Eurocontrol.
Rock on. Good to see you. Hope you're doing very well. Thanks for coming along. Nick says it's more entertaining seeing you struggle and talking with you through chat rather than a video. Yeah, and I really, it's a privilege doing these streams. It really is. And I spent the whole of yesterday sat on my own getting frustrated when I probably could have solved most of my issues in about 3 seconds with a chat there. So I should have done it on Twitch. I thought about it.
Bravo,
I did the video. But I'm very proud of that video. I think it's got a lot of content, as it were. Full cold and dark, different systems, comparisons to other aircrafts. And hopefully a good look at the aircraft. You can take your own opinions on it. Peter, I have not seen your question about the Avro versus the 146. Apologies. Asta says, the MD-80 review was fantastic. It was great to see your learning process as well as your opinion. You gave me enough information to draw my own conclusions, which doesn't have to agree with yours. Thank you very much, Asta. That's perfect. That's really kind. That's just what I want to do. Brilliant. Because I'm not making these videos to convince anyone of anything. I just have my own opinions. I'm not going to make a video and tell you all this is the way, this is better, this is worse, this is the one you should buy, this one should. That's not. I've always tried to avoid that, and some of my earlier videos perhaps didn't come across quite right with that, and that's something I learned to be careful with. So I just try and show you everything that you might want to see. Josh, if your sim is stuck on the loading page, off and on again, that's all I could recommend. When Fly-by-Wire 380 comes out, what flight would you do first in it? Ooh, probably a short flight, because I wouldn't want to wait for a whole long-haul stream for that one. Maybe a delivery flight like we did with the 340 Toulouse to Heathrow or something.
Runner 516 November, Roger. Approved. Report back.
JBay says, will be many chances to stream MD82 in the future. Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Flight level
no, we are going to. It's a beautiful aircraft to fly. Just like the 146, I think Leonardo's done a really nice job on the handling of the MD80. I like hand flying it, and I liked landing it. It felt good. It felt like a heavy aircraft. I liked it a lot. I have no idea if it's realistic. I can't see why it wouldn't be. Conveyance Game says, I'd love to see your Airbus quadrant throttle config for the MD80. Can you pop it in Discord, or is it in the video? So I would, Conveyance Games. I have not figured out how to get reversers working, and this is a slight issue I have with the. We're doing something really dangerous here. Let's get back to charts. So slight issue I have with the MD80 is the documentation. I'm having an issue getting the throttle set up properly, which is just not something I've had in here. Partly helped there is no reverse in here to set up, but like if you think of how simple it was, or how nice it is for the user when that in-flight idle balk is built into the sim, brilliant. So I have not assigned reverse, so I don't want to share my throttles, but they're linear basically at the moment. Conveyance Games. If I manage to get the throttle reversers working, then I'll talk about it in the future. Jay Turner says, love your videos. I'm just a casual flyer, but the more I watch you, the more I want to get really involved. Excellent, Jay Turner. Really appreciate it. That's great. Thank you. Very kind. Thanks for coming along. Arco's holding off the MD80, waiting for 737. Glad I picked up the 146. Its quirky appearance and systems are something different in comparison to mainstream. Absolutely. Absolutely. I first flew this in X-Plane 11 a year ago, I think, or close to a year ago, when JustFlight released it back then. We did a preview video with that version, and it's been a treat since. So I was confident when they said they were working on it for Microsoft Flight Simulator that it would come out and be enjoyable, and here it is, and it's just lovely. And I've flown it several times on the streams because it's just a fun aircraft. It's so different. Jumbelina looks great. I think they've done a great job on the handling and the audio. I don't really have any complaints I can think of for this one. I suppose people would like to see a more custom FMS. That's something that I know a lot of people have said. Thanks, Ed. Appreciate it. Ebos says, uploading a video does take ages, I found out lately. And then you do also editing. I can imagine that takes a lot of time. Yeah, to make the video yesterday, took several hours of filming, and I had to constantly pause to look up things to try and make sure. So there are mistakes in it, but lots of the MD80's bits I think I got. Just finding where switches were. The pneumatic crossfeed valves, totally in a different place, looked totally different to anything else. So looking up everything like that took time, and then the editing took an hour and a half, something like that, because you've got to convert the video files, and there was about 2 hours of footage I had to get through. And then of course editing it down into something watchable, taking out the mistakes or where I sit there and pause and think, trying to cut those out, or at least cut them down, getting the replays in the right place, getting the text overlays and so on. It just takes a little bit of time. The render for that video took over 3 hours, because now I render at a higher bit rate. At 2K, it does take a bit longer than it used to. Back in the old 1080p days in X-Plane 11, at the lower bit rate. If you watch my first videos, the quality is, the actual fidelity of the visuals is quite limited. Sorry, this is quite loud in my headset. Yeah, it's quite limited, and I changed that a little while back. But my poor aging computer now, I know it's not that old, but the processor in it is relatively weak compared to some of the more modern ones, and for rendering it takes it a little while, and then the uploading takes hours and hours and hours, and then YouTube has to assess the video for hours, Yeah, it's a lengthy process on a video that long. I don't know why I'm telling you all this. I do apologise. It's me just talking about YouTube stuff. You're here for airplanes. Peter says, besides the glass cockpit and the Avro, are the startup procedures and others the same? Sadly, I don't know. So I have not flown any simulated version of an Avro. I don't know if they're going to make one or not either. We didn't ever see one in X-Plane 11. So I don't know if that... But maybe there's more of a market in Microsoft Flight Simulator. They might. I don't know. You'd have to ask JustFlight. CK Gaming says, Frankfurt to Heathrow might be a good one as well for the 380. Indeed. TKC says, I'm flying to Cape Town from Heathrow with British Airways, a one-door plane. Hopefully it's a nice one. Hopefully 380, eh? That'd be good. Elite says, for the reverse thrust on the MD-80, I believe you need to bind something to decrease throttle. Aha! Okay. Okay. That would make sense. I'll try. I'll try that. Richard says, the FMS was meant to be a placeholder. I didn't really follow it too well. Yeah, I don't know, actually. I don't know.
Spanner 120, when ready, descend, flight
Sick one
level
says, the cross-feed valves you knock over with your feet. Yes, and the MD-80 there are awkwardly placed. Mark says, the FMS is fine. Sees the aircraft, imports from sim route and can grab me to ATIS. Ah, can it? That's because it's working title, you see. So the FMS and the MD-80 is very good. It can pretend like it's got an ACARS and all sorts of quite like that. How do we get weather? Think of this. What's the London area?
Evening identified.
That'll be Heathrow. What should we just put Gatwick in?
Affirm Echo Uniform Romeo
It
Whiskey.
says terminal. I thought it meant like you can. There is a code you can send off and you'll get a whole list of the London airports.
Flight level 300 and contact Brussels 131.1.
Oh, there it is. Gatwick is sitting in showers. 17 degrees. QNH 117. Looks like it's going to be runway 26, 240, 8 knots. Have we stopped burning fuel?
37 Alpha Yankee, hello, identified. Turn left by 10 degrees, climb, flight
Doesn't seem to be going down at all.
Yeah, turn left.
This is very efficient.
Okay, left by 10 degrees, Iberia 37.
Currently got 4.5 and a bit, 5.2. So we've still just burnt a ton.
Runner 516 November.
There you go. Ashley T says, JustFlight, we're waiting to see how the 146 sails first before committing to the Avro. So given the great reception since this aircraft dropped, a good indication it'll be coming at some point. I hope so. Definitely burning. We're at 5 times. Thanks very much, Bear Tato. Really appreciate it. I was having a bit of a moment there, wondering if I disabled something by accident. But yeah, it's very efficient up here. What's the fuel flow? That is 300 kilograms an hour per engine. Under 300. So a total of 1,200 kilograms an hour. Really? Is that right? Am I reading that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 1.2 tons an hour we're burning at the moment to cruise at 30,000 feet. And that is while we're going pretty fast. We're up at the decimal 7.4. We're a little bit, we are slower and we're lower down. Still, that's a pretty good burn rate. The Airbus and the cruise is about 2 tons an hour. So there you go. Not bad. Not bad. Doesn't hold as many passengers, of course, and it is only a 100. I'll be curious to see what the 300 burn. John says it is sipping fuel. Indeed, it is. VC10 next with Richard Darsley would like to see. Yes, that would be great, wouldn't it? Yes, I do hope they bring the Avro. I think why not? That'd be nice. John says, as opposed to Concorde's 2 tons per hour at ground idle. Yes, Concorde. I won't, for a long time, forget. Those of you who saw, we did a stream in the Concorde in X-Plane. We flew the column out of Concorde, a very detailed version of Concorde across the Atlantic. And I made a mistake in the descent. I thought we needed more room to descend than we did. It actually has a lot of drag available to it, Concorde, far more than I imagined. So we ended up level at 10,000 feet, about 80 miles to go. And we had 10 tons of extra fuel, and we used all of the extra fuel on that by leveling off at 10,000 feet. It was so inefficient. It was amazing. And we went as fast as we could to keep the nose down and keep the drag down, but no, it was so bad. Concorde does not want to be low down. It wants to be doing Mach 2.
Air 152, contact London 12945. Goodbye.
129425, down Air 152, goodbye.
See ya.
129425.
Dylan Victor Foster. Easy 37 Victor Foxtrot, Roger, speed 290 knots or greater.
John says 200 nautical miles price of the runway is usually good for Concorde. Yeah, I think we're a bit early in that.
1128 on conversion.
Where are we?
Speed 270 knots or less.
Let's have a look. So expecting arrival via...
Easy 295, climb flight level.
Normally I would tell London
Climb flight level 350,
the arrival I'm expecting.
455, Squawk 75.
How do I move that down?
7. It's the Alesso 1 hotel arrival. 7557 on the Alice 1 hotel arrival for Air France.
Does anyone know?
455. Amber 167, descend flight level 80. Descend flight level 80.
Ah, there you go. You click there. Good. Right, let's check in, and I'm going to have to be a bit naughty and let them tell me the arrival.
Spanair 120 London control, hello.
Oh, we're almost there.
61 Golf arrival.
We are almost there. What have I been doing?
Air France.
Just chatting away.
455, descend flight level 140.
This is about to be a very interesting arrival.
455.
Cool, now there we go. Let's just say we're doing that. London, good evening. Dan Air 152, Kunav 1 Golf for Gatwick, currently routing to Kessex.
Dan Air 152 London control, hello. When ready, descend flight level 120.
We're ready to descend flight level 120. Dan Air 152. This is about to be the least prepared descent we've ever done.
Easy 295.
120.
Left heading 220.
Is there a controller available at Gatwick?
left heading 220.
Oh no, there's an ATIS and everything.
Easy
God,
112.
there's loads of controllers online today, very good. Right, so put 120 in the window.
130.
I'm going to arm it now. I've got loads of drag available to me.
128 to confirm flight level 130 to be level by Tel 2.
We aren't at Kunav yet. We're only at 30,000 feet, so we've got plenty of room. Right, let's grab the... ATIS is Victor.
Good evening, London Control, Speedbird 711 with you at flight level
26 left is in use. And they've got surface wind, light headwinds,
Control, hello.
13 degrees, 1018.
And expect descent to around 10 miles.
Great.
Expect descent at
So,
10 miles.
that's the arrival.
One hotel arrival.
Let's put it in. Kunav, 1 Golf.
Good evening, London Control. It's been nice to have Golf from you with you.
RLS 26 left.
7 Golf Romeo London Control,
Yes.
hello. Report your aircraft.
Kunav 1 Golf.
Airbus A320 7 Golf.
Transition.
7 Golf Romeo, thanks. Leave, correction, for now just descend flight level 80.
Mayfield. Timber.
7 Golf Hotel.
Seabird, disregard.
Execute.
Directel to and descend 130.
Kunav and Ambit, is that right? Ah. This is embarrassing. Oh. Yes, that's good. That's the arrival. So they can connect. So let's clear the discontinuity. Execute. Okay. We've got 31 miles to get to Kunav. So we're about to appear on this chart. Descend to 160 for Amdut. We're going to have to do that ourselves. So we've got 30 miles to Kunav. And then we've got 14 miles after that. So we've got 44 miles to go to Amdut at 160, 15, 30, 45. We need that now. It's time to go down to 120 or we're not going to make it. So to do that, let's set DES mode in here. This way the engines will not come back too much. So because if you didn't use that mode and you bring them back, I'm just going to engage IES mode and let the nose come down. Yeah, if you didn't do that, you could bring them back too far and then the airplane wouldn't be able to pressurize because there wouldn't be enough bleed pressure.
Amber 167, contact Gatwick.
There we go, so I put them there, and it should modulate them to where we what's acceptable. And I'm just going to reduce that speed a little bit. It's a little bit high. So sync, nose up, bit of speed brake.
And mid on 555.
There's the air brake coming out the back. Love the air brake on this aircraft. It's so cool.
Yeah, stand by.
And sync again. And now the nose can drop at more reasonable speeds.
Easy 337 Victor Foxtrot, descend.
Okay.
990.
So
Send to fly level.
that's the routes from
090,
Kunav,
East
Amdut,
57,
Timber.
Bristol.
Then we fly the Timber round to the RS. Let's no real terrain issues. We go Timber to Mayfield. Does it do that?
Midland 5225, contact.
Timber,
Euro
Mayfield.
control,
Let's hope they don't make us hold.
decimal
Well, life's going to get really difficult. And then the RS. Going to tune the RS 1109258. 1109. It's lucky.
135.125. Midland 5225. Thank you. Bye bye.
Spano 120, descend flight level 130 to be level by Tel 2.
258. Perfect. That's nav 1, which is the RS. And I'm going to put in 1179 for Mayfield in case we have to fly the whole raw data and it doesn't work.
Air France 455, descend flight level 120.
1179. That's Mayfield.
Air France 455.
Inbound course 088 left hand turn. So I'm going to put that course on the other side as a reminder. So this is the hold in case we need it. In nav 2, 088. Otherwise, we're going to carry on down to 12,000 feet. We've got a 1500 feet per minute.
7 Golf Romeo, fly heading 23.
Let me bring the thrust back a bit more.
Flight level 70.
There we go, and it's actually increasing it. It's not letting me bring it all the way back to where I've set it. Because the TMS has taken over.
230 degrees, descend flight level 70.
Yeah, so
West level 7.
that is the plan. After landing, where's the airport chart? There we go. 26 left, vacate, probably that first one. Echo, oh, go and park where they tell us. We'll have to figure out when we're on the ground. Good, out is armed. Great. George Lumpkin, thank you so much for your 17.99 super chat. Really very kind, George. George has said, long overdue. Thanks for answering our questions and for all the interesting and educational content. Looking forward to a great year of flight sim ahead with all these aircraft being released. George, that's far too kind. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Very kind. Nothing's overdue. Nothing owed to me at all. Thank you so much for being a part of the community, coming along and chatting with us, and thanks so much for that kind donation. Far too kind, George. Really appreciate it. I'm glad you've been enjoying the videos. And yes, plenty more to come. Lots of add-ons, lots of aircraft coming out. Exciting times, no doubt about it. No doubt at all. Okay, we're almost back at 250 knots. So that's actually a little bit slow. Is there a way to pin these? That would be the ultimate thing. 5 miles from Kunav, which should about to be appearing on the chart, I would hope. I would have flown this to City, but this is a Dan Air route, so not happening.
7 Golf Romeo, just stand by.
We could go to London City on Batsim though, yeah. I have flown into London City.
Easy 1128, descend flight level 80.
So now we've got 14 miles to lose. We need to be down at 160. 1624, we are very high. So what I'm going to do is press sync, lower the nose, start with the speed brake. I reckon we can get this plane down very quickly if we need to. It's that big air brake out the back. So we're just over flying Kunav now, and it should say 14 point something. There it is, 14.7.
Defense 429 direct Coxie.
Oh, I don't even need to do this. Let's remove the sync. We'll keep it at what's that, 250 with the speed brake out. More than enough. Incredibly powerful.
Directed kilo, Oscar kilo, Lufthansa 49.
Use correction, quality 49051, claim
3,000 feet to go. We've got a descent rate of over 6,000, so let's bring that in.
7 Golf Romeo, you've got 24 miles to 27 right, descend altitude 4,000.
Let's bring up the checklist.
NH1018.
That's 1018, sending 4,000 feet in 7 Golf Romeo.
Easy 56 Foxtrot Yankee, route direct Ziddle and climb flight level 210.
16,000 feet, 1,000 to go. Speed brakes in. That was incredible. Very impressed with the descent performance. So it was as good as I hoped. As a result, we've leveled off early. But at least, hopefully, air traffic can't be annoyed at us. Oh, it's trying to climb a bit. Keep the power back. Let's just VS it. VS down to, hopefully, level off at 60. Oh no, 120. So we need to do 16,000. So what we'll do is we will set a gentle VS now. There we go, about 300s. Keep it at 250. Or the controller might get annoyed with us for slowing down too much. We didn't actually need to make that restriction, I suspect, but there we go. There we are. No sign of holding so far, so that's good. Spooling up now. Fuel-wise, we're doing fine. Got over 4, almost 5 tons still. Good stuff. Right, now we can actually do the descent checklist. So, PTU needs to come on. PTU on. Pressurization set. Now, that's a good question. What do I need to do with the pressurization? Do I need to set a landing altitude or anything? Do you set this back down to landing altitude, or just over 0? What does that do? Cabin is descending. Altitude's gone quite high, up to 8,000 feet. So hopefully now it will catch up with us. I should have set that down earlier. That was my mistake. Briefing complete. Landing data check. Bug set. So long runway here. I was thinking we'll land flaps. Let's do flaps 30. 118. Again, we'll need to click that later on. So I'm just going to write that down.
455, turn left heading 290 degrees.
We must remember to click that once we've set landing flat. Good. Then the next is the approach checklist once we've got the altimeters.
Turn left heading 290 degrees and when established on the localizer.
Right, 250 knots we're going to make. We're already at 250, so I'll just leave that there.
49051, resume on navigation direct to Coxie, climb flight level 290.
Direct Coxie.
Thanks for those follows. Thanks again to George for that very kind super chat, and Tom and Jeff, thanks for your follows. Chat has gone quiet. I'm hoping chat's gone quiet because they're watching watching me sweat through this. By the way, engine vibrations shown here. I like the fact there's engine number 3 a little bit smoother than the other engines. Nice detail. So there's 250 knots. That's something very important to do, and I've forgotten it. We've got out 12,000 to come. Minima, that's what I was going to say. So, thanks, V, for the subscription. Right. We've got final approach 26 lefts. We're going to do a Cat 1 RS. It's 200 feet on the red out 396. So, I'm going to set it on the rad out. Flying Fabio made an excellent point, which was this is not actually how you'd certify to fly the minima in this case, because of course it's not protected when you're this far out on the rad out. But I'm going to have that set there, and this is where the radio altimeter will show up. But I'm imagining in real life the pilot would have had to say minimums at 400 feet on the altimeter. That would be the way to do that. 250 knots, 6 miles to go.
I think it's Danica 152, descend flight level 80.
Descend flight level 80, Dan Air 152, thank you.
It's Dan Air 152, contact Gatwick Director 126, decimal 825.
126825, Dan Air 152, thank you.
Span Air 120, route direct Holly.
Oh, he's got Span Air and Dan Air, excellent. Right, 80. 80 out arm. This would be incredibly high workload if we didn't have the LNAV, so that's useful. Siri decides to come to life there. Right, 80 in the window, 126825.
Roger, break Span Air 120, route direct Holly, descend flight level 110. Descent altitude 4,000.
We have information, Victor.
1018.
Right, let's get that descent rate something more reasonable. There we go, 1,000 feet per minute for now. Power back a little bit. Gatwick, good evening, Dan Air 152, descending flight level 80. We are routing towards Timber.
to Gatwick Director, hello, Victor's current landing 26 left, no delay, descend flight level 70.
Descent flight level 70 for 26 left, down Air152. 70, let's get down. It's easiest in IS, so I'm going to bring the power back.
Amber 167.
Let's get back to 250 knots and then we can head down. I'm thinking,
Amber 167, roger.
I misjudged this. Let's have real time.
Get the land runway 26 left, Amber 167.
Why not? I think it'd be nice. Yeah, sunset. Algol says, how do you do a hold?
When level at flight level 70, speed 220 knots.
When level at 70, 220 knots. Then Air152. Okay, I'll rely on you guys to remind me of that. Speed's coming back towards 250. Once it gets to 250, I'm going to swap the airplane to IAS mode, go down a bit quicker. As soon as we're on headings, we'll be able to... that was a major, major freeze. So there's IAS. Engines at idle.
152, after timber, fly heading 360 degrees.
After timber, heading 360 degrees. Down Air152. So we're going to go north. Once we're on that heading, I'm going to swap over to radio navigation, and then we can use that. Yes, afterburner toggle is what I'm using for that sync button. Very important for the automatics. You can do it through this little pitch though.
3,000 feet.
So this would be another way to do it, I believe. Which I saw someone discussing on Discord very helpfully.
Golf Mike India Kilo.
Right, we're 3.6 miles from Timber, which is here. So north of the heading. I can set the heading to north on here.
Golf Mike India Kilo Hotel is Robin 40, 10 miles north of South and Crescent Basics now.
There we go.
Golf Mike India Kilo Hotel, Gatwick Director, roger.
Hard to get your situational awareness though. I know I'm 1 mile from Timber, so I need to look at the chart for Timber to work out where that puts me in relation to the airfield. So probably about 20 miles out plus vectoring. So we've got about 30 miles. We're a little bit high, I'd say. So swapping over to heading.
128 and left, heading. 3, correction.
Swapping over to nav, and we've got the course 258, frequency 1109, which is the ILS 26 left, 258 110.19. Beautiful day out there, yeah. Keeping 250 knots. He wants us to descend. He said when level, slow to 220, which tells me that he wants us to keep the descent rate up. So let's get the speed brakes out and get down, so that we don't spend too long at this high speed, or he'll get upset and ask us to slow down whilst descending, which could make it tricky. Because if we slow down whilst descending, we're going to find ourselves not descending quick enough. Probably gets a bit of an issue with the drag. Rishal says, hi, greetings from South Africa. Excellent content, keep it up. Thank you very much, Rishal. Really appreciate it. Todd, thanks for the subscription.
Down 152, turn left heading 340 degrees.
Left heading 340 degrees, down Air152. We haven't flown into Gatwick for a long time on Batsim. We always end up departing. 340, 18 miles out, 10,000 feet. We are high, so air brake is going to full.
Right, actually, if you want to.
Let's get ourselves down. Gatwick's actually just over there. Look at that. There you go. This is where the texturing on this model. Look at the wings. Oof, that's amazing. All the streaks of grime and oil. That's where the textures have really... This shows what's possible in this sim. Again, JustFlight have just... They've absolutely nailed it.
You're a bit high, so I'm going to bring you around to lose with that high. Turn left heading 220, correction. Turn left heading 180 degrees.
Left heading 180 degrees, then 152. Thank you. Yeah. Can't argue with that.
Number 167 vacated at Echo.
Number 167, thank you. Contact
we weren't quite ready for a straight in there, that's for sure. 180. Speed has come right back now. Ah, it's gone into pitch hold.
Gatwick approach.
So,
Charlie 152.
interesting. All right, let's go back into IS.
Downwind of runway 26 left.
Sync.
Requesting touch and go.
And that's not helped our situation.
Roger. Report final runway 26 left to number 1.
No, making a mess of this now. Vertical speed, let's get that under control. I'm going to let it accelerate back up to 230.
Report when on final, Charlie 152.
1,000 feet to go. Sync is off. So let's check those modes again. VS and heading, those are good modes. Okay. So we need 21 miles from here.
Dano 152, perfect. Now bring it all the way back around to the left again, heading 340. You can descend to 6,000 feet, QNH 1018.
Thanks for your help. So left heading 340, descend 6,000 feet on 1018, Dano 152.
And Charlie 152, change of plan there. Enter right-hand orbits to advise at the end of the downwind leg.
Very helpful controller there. So heading 340,
Like Charlie 152.
6,000 feet. So let's set 6,000 feet and the QNH of 1018. Let's keep the heading by coming round to 340, which is effectively back on the base leg again.
Easy 112, did you manage to get the localizer, okay?
340. Speed's a little low. I'm going to power up now because we're close to our level off. It's all coming together. Yes, I'm altitude. Thank you very much. That is armed. Excellent.
Easy 113.
Still can't believe that's a
visual approach. The field
design
is at your
feature.
12 o'clock at a range of 9 miles.
Good.
Let me know you have it in sight.
Coming together. Conveyance Game says, I like watching streams where it doesn't always go according to plan. I learn a lot more. Excellent. Well, that's it. We have to accept that things don't always go to plan. We're below 10,000 feet. Oh no, not those. They're an arm.
Dano 120, Gatwick director. Hello.
I want seatbelt signs on.
Runway 26 left. Information vector is current. Leave Holly.
Speed is good. Okay, let's go to aircraft. So next one is seats for landing, so that's fine. Air brakes are definitely in. Nice helpful indicator up here, by the way, that the air brakes are out. You don't get that. Well, it's on the ECAM on the Airbus, but I think it's a little more obvious here. I like it. Level at 6,000, rolling out heading 340. We need 18 miles from here. So we need to descend soon if he's going to turn us into intercepts. Just depends how far across we are.
Easy 113, roger, descend at altitude 2,000
There's
feet.
no particular navies on the airfield for us to point at, so...
Clear visual approach from 26 left, easy 118.
Dano 152, descend to altitude 4,000 feet.
So altitude 4,000 feet, Dano 152. Perfect. That's
Dano
what we
120,
wanted.
descend flight level 70.
Level 70, center 120.
4,000 feet, out arm, IS. Power to idle.
Easy 1128, steered by tracking information for you. The Cessna 152 at your 12 o'clock at a range of 5 miles. She's currently orbiting on the south side of the runway.
So a little bit high again. Has a real controller ever got you to orbit, says Richard Dastardly? In that situation,
Roger,
yes.
easy 1128.
Often what controllers will do is take you through the localizer and then turn you back around to intercept from the other side. That's a little more efficient, but this controller may not have had that option.
Dano 152, descend to altitude 3,000 feet.
It's only 3,000 feet, Dano 152. It depends where the other aircraft are and how high you actually are.
Going back a few transmissions, there was another station calling.
So it's still a bit high. 5,000 feet, 15 miles. No, we're looking good. Just the speed's up, but we know we've got plenty of drag available to us. Yeah, no, an orbit is a rare thing, but often we could ask to go slightly downwind and then intercept, or go through the localizer and back from the other side. But you don't tell the controller that. You just say to the controller, we need 10 more miles or 5 more miles, and they will then sort out whatever's best for them. Right, have got out-armed at 3,000, still above the MSA.
Dano 152, turn left heading 295, when established localizer 26 left, descend glide path.
Left heading 295, when established localizer 26 left, descend glide path, then 152. Right, try to say the heading is the call sign, that's easily done. Heading 295, that's an intercept heading, 4,000 feet at 40 miles. This is looking good, just a little bit fast. I'm going to arm the localizer. It's gone green, so it's already captured. Yep, it's already active, that makes sense. And the glide slope, which is already there. So now I'm going to thrust to idle. I'm going to use a bit of speed brake now. Let's get the speed back. Let's bring the heading back round for the go around if we need it.
Golf Bravo, India, Zulu, Oscar.
Get below 200 knots. Go around, climb to 3,000 feet, straight ahead until passing 2 or 1 mile. So I'm going to put 3,000 feet in the window, which we've got. Straight ahead until 1D, and then left turn south, effectively. Perfect. So we're cleared by the MSA, which we're going to do now. Let's get the landing lights to on. Let's do this. Altimeters are set. Belts are on. APU. Oh, we should have started. Brake fans. Are they in auto? Left in auto. Yep. Let's start the APU. Fuel panel I think is set. Cabin is warned. Steep approach not required. Rad out set. Anti-ice not required. Next is landing. AC pump to auto. Let's not do anything silly like stall. 3,000 feet, 9 miles. Let's see if we can get this done.
3761.
AC pump, please, to auto. Oh, it looks like the PTU pump did come on. Landing gear to come. Okay. 200 knots. We're fast. So speed brake coming out. And I need to set up the replays.
Hello, Green Wing Standard 901 with you 250 knots heading 120.
Master caution air elect because we're not using the APU generator. That's fine. Maybe we can turn that on. Why not? Let's go for the first stage of flap. 8 miles, 180 knots. Yep, speed is under control. Get that great howl for this first stage.
152, contact with tower 124225. Bye-bye.
I think we missed a call there. So flaps are 18. Idle should be working for us. Let's go for the second stage.
Daniel 152, contact tower 124225.
124225, Daniel. 152, bye.
Spy 120, turn left,
Very
heading
helpful controller.
330 degrees, descent altitude 4,000 feet.
5. Right, let's go for, we're going to go for flaps of, we said, 30. So let's go gear down. Flaps to 30. Gear horn until they come in. And now we should be able to click on the speed, and I want to be up about 118, which is in. 2,000 feet now, so we're pretty much stabilised. We weren't given a speed control, so that's fine. Okay. Tower Dane 152, ILS 26 left, 5 miles.
Dane 152, Gatwick Tower, good evening. The wind's 300 degrees, 8 knots, runway 26 left, clear for land.
Clear for land, 26 left, Dane 152. Good, so last thing to do, overhead panel, let's turn on APU air and let that provide the air for the packs. Free up the engine if we need them for a go-round. It will automatically arm the go-round mode, or it will bring the flight directors for the go-round when we disconnect the autopilot.
Speed check below 145. Select flap 33.
Next is after landing. So that's the checklist done. Right. Yeah, we're sinking into the murk. Very possible. This is where Microsoft Flight Simulator is at its best. This sort of view where you have a layer where the temperature suddenly changes, which blocks off, and then you've got the haze beneath the clouds. So you have all the haze, then you have clouds at the top, and then clear skies above with much better visibility. It's incredibly common where you have like a temperature inversion or change sitting there. So again, amazing weather system. TCAS is working, by the way. It's pretty cool.
1,000.
We are stable at 1,000 feet. I'll leave the thrust where it is. So to land this airplane, it's totally guesswork. It's going to be pretty much normal idling, touchdown, and then manually deploying and manually applying the brakes.
Gatwick Tower,
no auto brakes. And it can be quite hard to get on them and slow down. Right, so landing checks are complete.
Orbit turns.
I will indeed buy the PMG 737, Hayden, but it might not happen straight away. I'm going to miss the boat a bit with that one, I suspect.
Tower, good evening. Are you visual with the aircraft on short sign of 26 left?
Now, he might struggle to be visual with us because of the visibility. It's pretty poor. Love it. Amazing. Just beautiful.
At the moment, there is a lot of mist.
Yeah,
so
agreed.
I can barely see the airport.
It's not as visual as the controllers might think. Right, autopilot off. And you can see go-around mode has engaged.
You're clear to roll out on extend downwind.
Right, let's do our best here. Keeping the power where it is.
Will there be a left-hand turn or a right-hand turn base? Thank you, Charlie 152.
It will be a left-hand base, but if you just can roll out on downwind for the time being, please.
100.
Luckily, we are very visual.
Yeah, will do. Thank you so much, Charlie 152.
700 feet per minute, keeping steady. Oof, some big load in stutter. That's my scenery, not the aircraft. Ouch. Oh, this is bad. That is terrible.
Light slow.
This is not going to work.
40. 30.
Power back.
20.
Gatwick Tower, Hyder, Center 120, checking in, ILS 26 left.
There we go. Come on.
Player 120 Gatwick
Oof.
Tower, good evening, continue approach to 26 left, your
It
number
is
2.
stuttering away. We're going to miss that exit. Speed brakes are out. Getting the nose on the ground.
You're flying in the wrong direction. If you go back into right-hand orbit.
And manual brakes. Let's see if we can make this exit.
80 knots.
It automatically goes to ground idle. There we go. Oof, that was a bad place for all that pop in. It's probably because I've got the custom scenery.
If you can continue along and exit via Golf.
Continue along, exit Golf, down 152. Let's hope I can find that.
You've got an aircraft sat on Foxtrot Romeo, I don't know what he's doing.
Roger. Oh,
Very
well,
good evening,
there we
Gatwick
go.
Tower.
Welcome to Gatwick.
916 November is at Alpha 3.
I'm hoping this is Golf.
26 left.
Yep, Golf 2.
The 9
We do have a replay.
November,
But yeah,
Roger,
I'm not sure. That was some impressive popping in and stuttering at the end there. But we've made it. Fantastic. Great fun. I hope you've seen that this is a really, really lovely lovely add-on. It's a real treat. We will be using this a lot more. And just beautiful. The views there as we descended with the sunset.
152, welcome to Gatwick. Take your second right onto Juliet, hold short of uniform, contact ground 121.8, caution EasyJet A319 ahead.
Second right uniform, second right Juliet, hold short of uniform behind the EasyJet. And sorry, frequency again please, Daniel 152.
Frequency 121.8.
118, thank you, bye-bye.
Uber 916 November, the wind's 300 degrees, 5 knots, runway 2.
Ground down at 152. Good evening. Juliet holding short uniform. Now I think that's uniform. Oh, what's going on? I wonder if this is what people are talking about. Juliet holding short uniform. Where's uniform? Oh, uniform's there. Okay, good. So we can carry on. Move out of the way of air traffic. Let's get rid of the air brakes. You have to deploy those manually. Bring the flaps in. This is the freebie Gatwick, indeed. Do wheels have cameras so you can see it's in line with the yellow lines? Indeed not, but you can get a sense because you'll feel the bumps. So you do learn quite quickly how to do that. It's not as hard as you think. Even in small aircraft, getting the nose on the yellow line is actually it's something you learn quite quickly. Let's try again. He said 1218. Gatwick ground, down at 152. The FPS... No, must be on the wrong frequency here. The FPS on this aircraft has been fine the whole time until we just got some pop in, presumably because this scenery is not optimized for this version. So yeah, 3 feet per minute. There you go. Meant 3 frames. That's annoying. What a shame that happened right at that moment. But there we go. Matthew said, "This is a problem I have with some airport scenery when landing too. Sim works perfectly until I come in for landing." Yeah. I was worried. I did load it earlier, but there we go. I think we got away there. Landing seemed okay. Just a bit of a float. Definitely a bit too long for the landing. But we'll take that given the situation we were faced with. Right, this can't be the right frequency. So it's 1218. Yeah, 1218. 1218. Oh, the Logitech strikes again. Ground, good evening, Dan A152, holding short uniform. Let's get these lights to taxi. Let's get the strobe lights off.
Dan A152, Gatwick ground, hello, taxi stand 562 via Juliet, Romeo, Lima, and Quebec Alpha.
Thank you via Juliet, Romeo and Lima, stand 562, Dan A152.
Gatwick ground,
Juliet, Romeo, Lima. So, my guess is it's up here somewhere. There it is, where we normally go. He did tell us. I think he said Quebec Alpha then. Because he didn't say Quebec. Yeah, he said Quebec Alpha at the end. Okay, cool.
2762 Tower 124.225, bye-bye.
May the 4th be with you. Ashley T says, is it a scenery issue though, or VATSIM? I found at heavy airports like Heathrow, when I turn on V-Pilot, my frames comes back again. Okay. Well, the frames are okay now. They're definitely slightly reduced. So, it's steady now though. Those, well, I say, maybe it is. Maybe it's a VATSIM thing. Maybe I've got too much traffic loaded in. So we are looking for Romeo on the left. Good. Well, we managed the landing checklist. So air brakes and spoilers in, flaps up, lights and strobes taxiing off. TMS can go off. Thank you, TMS. Done a great job. Weather radar off. Transponder back to TA. I have a horrible feeling we had TA the whole time. Engine anti-ice off. Continuous ignition off. To ignition, engine anti-ice off. There's a vehicle, nothing to see here. Crash Ed, thank you so much for your £1.79. Really appreciate it, Ed. Ed says, top plane, top stream, top channel. Many thanks. You're very welcome. Thank you so much. Really, very kind, Ed. And thanks for coming along. Thanks for supporting the channel. Really appreciate it. Now, I've had good fun today. I hope you've all enjoyed it. If you are watching on YouTube, do please leave a like on the way out. As I always say, it makes a big difference to the channel.
Subject 192X3 fluid.
Subject 192X3. March, I think you stand 190.
Right. Which one of these are we heading for?
1018.
And he said Romeo, not Quebec. So that's going to be the first one. After the control tower.
Bye-bye, EC1128.
Grill Toaster, very kind. Thank you for the tip of $3. Grill Toaster, do you normally go around when it's lagging in real life? You know what? If that happened in real life and we were lagging like that, yes, I probably would have gone. But I suspect the same thing would happen again if we tried that again. So I decided to stick with it. We got away with it. Replay coming later. I have got the replay recording. Yeah, there's a lot of traffic around here moving, pushing back. I wonder if that's causing the issue. Because as you guys have seen, the aircraft's been fine the whole way. EBOS, glad you enjoyed it. Thanks very much. So we're going up past the bridge. I think we're here somewhere. Not showing up though. Then it can be Romeo is right here, and then we join Quebec Alpha. Sorry, we join Lima to Quebec Alpha. It's all clear around. We're racing around. Thank you again, Rick Toaster, and thank you, Ed, for those very kind donations. And thanks for the follow to Riot. Racing line. So many vehicles on the taxiways, as ever. Bit fast, 14 knots, even for a little go-kart like this.
Gatwick ground, easy 8343. Just
requesting
a quick jump out of the cockpit for a minute. So.
This scenery has not been updated for a little while, I think. So I suspect I did that. I actually loaded up the sim in this airport just to check it didn't crash.
Rogers, support and back.
Stand 562.
Thank you, sir.
Should be on the right.
264 Romeo. Have you got the EasyJet A320 NEO behind you inside?
Right, I'm going to cheat now. I'm going to put the flaps back out. We'll pretend we had a bird strike and we need to get them inspected. But the main reason, as you all know, is for the replay.
264 Romeo Gatwick ground.
I bet its main thread being pinned, the sim is horribly limited to a single thread. Yeah. I would really like to get the i7-12 series.
Gatwick ground,
great.
good evening to you. Green Wings,
quite expensive, and there's a traffic on stand.
Stationary on,
quite expensive, and I'll have to change my motherboard, so that's a process that's far too expensive and risky for me to do right now.
99001 Gatwick ground. Hello. Taxi stand 561.
Yeah, Subsonic. If you rewind the stream on YouTube, and it will be up on Twitch later as the VOD, then you can have a look for yourself. I've also got a video on my channel, youtube.com/simpilot. Yeah, it's great. Really like this one. Right, taxi lights can come off. Is that guidance working? Wish that truck would disappear out of the way though. I wonder if it's going to count down. I can't believe it will. Only aircraft allowed to park here 320 and 21. Yeah, it's designed for an aircraft a little bit taller than this one, I suspect. Hence the. Okay, we could go a bit further.
We're 264 Romeo.
Oh, there's a Gatwick sim update now. There you go. So they have updated it. I just have not updated this one. That's my mistake then. So brakes are set, and now we would normally go through the shutdown. But I hope you're all happy that we've got the APU running. We're using the APU electrics, so I would literally just turn off the engines, and we'd go from there. So disconnecting from VATSIM. Bringing up the replay. And if you're not hanging around for the replay, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've had a great time. But let's go and take a quick look. Let's see if the replay can load in any better now we've disconnected from VATSIM. So the flaps are out. Replay. Now I didn't get the button until quite late in the process. So I'm just going to pause it here. This add-on is quite good with the replay tool, by the way, that I use. It's surprisingly effective. It allows for changes in config and so on that sometimes the others. See you later, JBAe. Thanks, CK. Thanks, Jeff. Glad you enjoyed it. Ah, leaving flaps out might take points off the pipe. Of course. Oh no, I've totally forgotten. I didn't shut down properly. That's embarrassing. I'm going to get in trouble for this flight on the virtual airline. Close Pegasus. It only lets me cancel it. I've got an idea. Okay. Let's see. What can we do about this? Is there any way to just tell it we've finished the flight? Flight set to 0. Yeah, I'm going to have a meeting with Dan, our chief pilot. I sure would. I don't think it saw that landing. I'm going to try it out. Let's see if this works. There we go. Now I can say complete. There's the pilot report. Let's see if I get fired from Dan Air Virtual now. Good. Let's get this back up and running. And let's see. Well, it'll be a good time to test this. Let's go to aircraft. Ready for takeoff. I think you need to have the engines running for that to work, though. Oh, it's starting engine number 4. Yeah, so it is running the starter on 4 whilst providing fuel. Fuel's in. There it goes. Okay, this could take a little while. Anyway, we have completed a flight. We're going to file the report on that. I probably find that we can get away without having the... There, look, it automatically runs through them. Very good. So if we give it just a second while it bings and bongs, I think it's actually going to start up the engines for us. Matt says, do you think this plane would be too overwhelming to learn for someone that mainly flies the fly-by-wire? It sure looks fun to fly. No, I don't think so. There's just some features to it, but if you use the FMS, then that makes it feel a bit more Airbus-y. And then, of course, you've got the option to... The big thing is the sync. It's the sync feature. I should probably make a video just on that. And then the manual thrust as well. But the checklists are good, built in. You can just follow them through. There is a great manual with a practice flight. So basically, you open up the JustFlight PDF manual. There you go. It's doing engine number 2. Open up the JustFlight manual and run through that, and it will give you a later on in that PDF. There's a whole flight. So that's what I would recommend. Gentleman says, report to chief pilot for that. Yeah, indeed. But the first one was so good. Surely we can all let's just talk about the first one, not that replay one. There you go. Look at this. So it is automatically starting. Peter says, thanks, Captain. It was a pleasure being here for my first online streaming. It will not be my last. Have a good evening. See you next time. Thanks, Peter. See you next time. Andy says, pilot report accepted. You lost 10 points for shutting down with the flaps out, but everything else was good. Thank you, Andy. Great. Got away with it. We can fly for Dan Air Virtual another day. Thank you. This is great. So if you use the ready for takeoff state, it does have the engines shut down. Just leave it. It takes time, and it does start them all up on its own. Look at that. It's even done the fuel off to on. Again, another example of JustFlight really building in the helpful features for simmers. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. Thank you, David, for your subscription. Okay. Engines are up and running almost. We'll go back to that replay. We'll see if it plays out a bit better. This aircraft is payware from JustFlight. Yeah, I agree, actually. The sim performance has improved since disconnection from VATSIM, so it's possible that was more of the issue. Just too much traffic around. So as we got close, it just all popped in. Right, replay please.
Don't sink.
And notice the flaps were up on stand and they are out again. So it does actually seem to work with the flap position. It's unusual, this add-on. Give it the checklist. So here we go. Just going to rewind the time a bit. It was a little bit lighter when we landed. Again, this is why I'm so happy we have these aircraft in Flight Simulator, because we get to enjoy the amazing weather engine. It's the weather really, it's the, well, and the scenery. It's just amazing. Look at that train. Excellent. It's even the right livery, I think, for the sort of trains. No, you can see here the replay has got the pauses. So this is how it was when we... it's recorded the pauses. That's what's happened. The replay software was running smoothly, so it just sees us stopping every now and then. Oh well. Well, we won't waste too much time on the replay then. Bit of a float because of that moment there. In that moment I was trying to flare. And another one, and there we go. Oh, it was, yeah, good fun. Excellent. Right, well, I'm going to rewind it and just run the replay for your own amusement. So do please enjoy. And I'm going to say thank you all so much as ever for coming along. I've absolutely loved it. I hope you've enjoyed it as well. It's been great fun. Great to see these aircraft, as I said, coming out in Flight Simulator. But thank you all for just coming along to the streams and chatting. It's really great. I enjoy it so much, and it's a real privilege of streaming and having the YouTube channel that I get to sit and chat with you guys about these airplanes and enjoy them. So thank you to Andy Mixtanger for the hard work on Dan Air Virtual. It's great. I highly recommend it if you're interested in a virtual airline. It's got a nice relaxed atmosphere, great software, and the people running it are putting a lot of work in to make it just good fun, which is what it's been. Thank you to JustFlight for sending over this aircraft, and hopefully those of you who are curious about it, this has given you some more information on it. Do please check out my MD-80 video that's up on YouTube now, where I go through a full flight in the Leonardo MD-80, one of the most expensive add-ons so far, so you can see what you think of that. And then we'll be streaming soon again in probably the MD-80 to come very soon. We've also got to go back in the Airbus, of course, and we've got the PMDG 737 whenever it's released. I do not have an early copy. That'll be when it's released, but that's to come in the future. So do please subscribe if you'd like to see more of that. Thank you for those very kind donations indeed, Hayden. really appreciate it, and thanks for supporting the channel to those of you who kindly have. It's very kind of you guys. So yeah, thanks so much, and of course thanks to the moderators for looking after us on the street. Thanks to those watching along. Thanks for chatting. Right, I'll let you all leave now. So have a good evening. We'll see you next time. Bye bye.